To my brothers, sisters, and extended soul family, welcome to a new reading. So, this is a timeless reading, but I do a new one of these every new lunar cycle. So, in some of the piles, I might say during this lunar cycle, this might be what's happening for you. That can just be translated into for the next couple weeks of your life. This is the energy that I see you going through. So I don't have a lot planned for this reading. I kept my intentions really open. And all I'm doing is asking what energies are you going to be in for the next couple weeks. So we'll leave things unplanned. I have some piles here that you can pick from, and I assigned a different tarot card deck to each pile in case you want to pick that way. I don't feel called to associate crystals with these piles, and I know that some of you may be upset with that if you like picking with crystals, but I heard that they'll be kind of distracting and that these cards on top should be more than enough for understanding uh, what you feel called to. So let me show you these cards in more detail. So for pile one, this card is defined by land, flower, and sun. And if you want to pick with a tarot card deck, we will be using the stained glass tarot. So maybe we'll put that down here. For pile two, this card is defined by water, ocean, moon. And we're using the neon tarot. So here's the back of that. And we'll put it down here again. There we go. And for the last pile, pile number three, we have a card defined by land, tree, and star. And pile number three's tarot is the classic tarot, as it's labeled. We'll put that right there. If you do want to choose with crystals anyway, you can choose with the bear here, which is a variety of quartz that was gifted to me by someone in Alaska. We have the clear quartz point. Let's see if we can get that to sit back down nicely. Maybe not. Good enough. And then we have two different chunks of rose quartz here that happened to align above pile one. So I guess I picked crystals without knowing I would, which is why adding more to the mix might muddle the energy. So if you still need to choose your piles by taking more time, feel free to pause the video now, and I will see you in the reading. Welcome, my dear pile number one. So, a couple things before we get started here. I have a feeling the color orange may be significant for some of you. So, I listen to headphones while I do these readings because then I can't get copyright struck, but I do get messages from music sometimes. And normally I'll listen to a randomized playlist that just has like songs that won't repeat on it. But I was called for you guys specifically to play an album. It's by Barnes Courtney. It's called Attractions of Youth, and funnily enough, the song Hands stood out to me to like bring me to this album. But the cover is almost monochrome, and basically the only color in it is just orange. It's got a black background, and then it's mostly just orange. And then my dogs wanted to play and get rowdy real quick, so I paused to allow that to happen. And when I went to the kitchen to grab a drink real quick, the mug that I happened to use was also bright orange. So I don't know what's going on with like you and orange, but if your energy is very like outgoing, um energized, you don't tire quickly, you have like a lot to do, or you feel like you can do a lot, uh and you're very like rejuvenated every time you wake up, like you just feel like you're gonna go accomplish stuff and you have the ability to do it without getting tired. That can be an indication that orange may be like a significant color for you. And it can also be like very playful and very like rash. Like it just makes decisions. It's kind of like Knight of Wands energy in a way. So, and a little bit like Knight of Swords ish for those of you who are just here for the tarot cards. But I think that if that's the energy you're in, this is going to be like a pretty exciting reading. So I figured we'd do what I always do, and we'll go through your significator cards, and then we'll ask for extra information and clarification with your tarot cards as needed. So right now, we're going to put the tarot cards off to the side, and we'll start with the significator cards. So first up, we do have the card signif or the card. First up, we have the card defined by land, flower, and then sun. We'll put that there for now. Okay, what else do we have? So we have a card here. This is a tarot card, but we're using it as significator. Hmm, that's kind of cool. So we have the Eight of Cups. Again, there's like an orange sunset happening. I did pull it in reverse, so I'm gonna respect that and keep it this way. Reverse isn't always a bad thing, so like don't worry. Don't sweat. We'll put that there. Okay, let us continue. We have fog. We have fog. Let's see. So you have fog. This one has like some unicorns running in the mist here. All right. The next card is Reach. We'll put that next to... I kind of want to put it under the fog card. Let's move some stuff. Okay. Very nice. Next we have... Simple message. I am the loving energy of the universe. I like this one. Where do I want to put it? Maybe we'll put it here for a second. And then go with this one. This one says, my happiness is a direct reflection of my level of faith in the universe. I kind of feel like putting that one over here. All right. I'm getting some symbolism, right? Where I'm getting some symbolism where we have this ship sailing on the water, and there's like the sunset in the back, and it's making like the water kind of pink, but there's this blue sky, and there's kind of this reflection gradient here of like a blue sky and some pink down below. It kind of feels like this is the atmosphere above the upside down ship, where from like an as below perspective, you're moving somewhere, like you're traversing some amount of energy, and you realize that there's this like other sparkly, like ethereal energy that's happening. I don't want to say above you, but almost like in your above, like on a different frequency wavelength. So it feels kind of like on a deeper, more sequestered or like shielded energy. Not necessarily shadow work, but a lot of like subconscious, um, or more of what you feel when you're like dozing off and you kind of catch yourself thinking some really strange things. Um, that's you like moving through something to traverse somewhere. And you kind of realize that through like the more weighted down energy, there's an added layer above that of you feeling this more effervescent, like bubbly, sparkly, like magical energy. Because we're complicated. We can have layers. We can feel multiple feelings at the same time. We can have like underlining, resounding feelings that are operating on longer wavelengths. I'll give you an example. It's kind of a sad example, but I think it's like the most relatable one you can give. If you lose a family member or a pet or a loved one that's like very dear to you, you'll be sad and grieving about it for a while. But while you're grieving about it, and there are these like undertone long waves that take longer to get through of sadness, you can have moments where you're temporarily cheered up and you're having a good time. So it's like, even though it may take months or years for you to get through a heavy grieving cycle, there will be moments where you're hanging out with friends or other loved ones, or you're enjoying whatever type of entertainment or hobbies you regularly enjoy that like will make you smile. So it's like you can have multiple layers to your emotions, and I kind of feel like on a deeper, more resounding, like longer wavelength, you're going through something heavy, or you're traversing past or through heavy energy, like you're kind of like parting the thick waves that that energy is, and in your path you're kind of leaving like a brightness behind you. And I feel like this is you cutting through a lot of subconscious thoughts you've had for like a very long time that were in some way, I don't want to say holding you back, but like making your heart feel a lot heavier than is comfortable for you now, because you're in a place where you're not interested in feeling that way anymore. And so the first step is for you to part and calm and change like your inner waters, like your internal emotional environment. And I got a message before I started this reading about emotions. It came from the guidebook of this actually, but it wasn't this card. But there's a card that talks about emotions, and it says emotions are called emotions for a reason. Their energy in motion. So motions. And I feel like you have like a really strong grasp of that here, and that might be what a lot of the orange energy is, cuz orange is a lot of um like moving energy. It's not very still, and it's not necessarily explosive, but it's like constantly putting motion ahead of planning or calculating or reflection. So it's not necessarily sporadic, it's just very action based. And I feel like that's kind of what you're doing here on an internal or like a subconscious, like heartfelt level. And I think what you're striving for is for your resounding undertones of how you feel on a day to day. I feel like you want that to reflect more of this bubbly effervescence that you feel on like higher notes, or like top notes, if you will, in your life, for those of you that are um like fragrance connoisseurs where you want your base notes to be happier than this like dark water gloom right here that the ship is actually like passing through and parting to reflect happier energies, because I think you've gotten tastes of this around you recently where there will be like little things that kind of like cheer you up or like motivate or inspire you. And I feel like it's more of a reflection of you feeling like there are things that are worth dreaming about again. So inspiration is like really big here. And I think that you're finding some of the magic that is available to you in the physical world again, and you're changing your internal perspective and the course that you're charting internally to reflect that, so that you can go align yourself with your dreams. And I don't want to say chasing your dreams, because chasing can imply that the thing is running away from you or is hard to catch up to, and I don't see that being the case. It's like if you're on a ship and you're trying to find like the next destination, the next island you want to go to, that island necessarily isn't running away from you. You just have to like adjust your course to said island. And I feel like that's kind of what you're doing here. And I think a lot of what you're doing is you're reconnecting with the fact that like we all have divinity and divine energy within us that we can choose to embrace at whatever level we want to, as we define ourselves as our own unique autonomous beings. So there's a lot going on here. We still have two more cards though, and I want to read them. So the first one we have is Hope, which I feel like is a little bit fitting for what we talked about, and I think I'll put it under here. That feels good. Your last card is Temple of the Sun with a lot more orange. Oh my gosh. I kind of want to put that over. Yeah, that'll work. I kind of want to put it over here, like this. I think there's a lot of reflection of above and below here, where you're recognizing that internal changes within you will cause external changes about you. And that could be to your physical person or to the energy layers that are like around you and the energy you emanate. But I think it's also you recognize that as you change your internal environment, like you change your outlook and understand that there are dreams that are worth dreaming and achieving within this lifetime still, that when you change your internal viewpoints and compasses, you'll redirect yourself to go achieve those dreams in the physical world. And it's gonna bring like a refreshed vitality and like a refreshed understanding, or it'll bring like a refreshed purpose to this lifetime, because I'm hearing for some of you maybe you like achieved a lot of goals, like maybe if you're older and like you raised a whole family, you're an empty nester and you're retired and you're just kind of like what next. What now? Not that there has to be a what now, but something in your heart is telling you I want there to be a what now, like I want to go pursue something else great. Or like maybe you just like graduated from a degree like high school or college or something. And this channel not isn't necessarily for kids, so if you just graduated high school, I'm ignoring you. But if for those of you who graduated like after you're 18, hi, I'm not ignoring you, I guess. But I think there's this idea of like I did the big thing that I put a lot of time and investment into, and that's how I kind of defined part of my identity was I am a student. I'm achieving this goal next. And then once you achieve that goal, there's that potentially scary moment of like, what next? What now? What do I do? And I think that's part of what the Reach and the Fog cards are talking about, where you essentially have an unlimited reach to go find whatever light or whatever goal you want to go achieve next. And like there's nothing you could reach for that's too far away is kind of what I'm hearing from some of your spirit guides. But you just have to part the veil, like charge through the fog or look through the fog to go get it. And fog is only blinding to the physical senses. But if we're talking about things on a spiritual level, like you can traverse fog very easily once you decide you're just going to go do that. Like your intuition will only steer you wrong if you don't trust that your intuition has your best interests in mind, or if you've subscribed to the idea that the universe and a lot of things, including your own mindset, are working against you. That's when your intuition or the signals you get from it can be like a little bit muddled. But I don't get that sense here. I feel like um, you're trusting of yourself enough, especially because you're clearing out like a lot of heavy energy, like gloom, perhaps, is what I'm hearing the most. That like it's just kind of you're ready for a new adventure and you already kind of started it. You just you're in such a beginning stage of it. It's like you haven't even taken a first step yet. You just kind of thought about lifting your foot up and you maybe got like half your foot off the ground. So one thing I'm getting is another song from the Barnes Courtney album called Champion. And there's a repeating line in it that says, like, rise up, rise again. And I think that's a lot of what you're doing right here is you're picking yourself up to ascend to like a new level of greatness or greatness on a new path. And greatness doesn't mean anyone else has to see it as great or define it as great. This is something that's like personal to you. So if someone else agrees that it's great, that's nice. But if they don't, uh, you're kind of being called to just like ignore them because it's your life. You can live it how you want, and you've been through a lot already. So there's no reason to stifle yourself um, when you have the energy to live your life the way that you want to and put your efforts and energy into what will actually like fulfill you and feed you and make you happy. So with the land flower sun card down here, your first significator card, this one talks a lot about being called to embrace your inner child, and the field is like a metaphor for inviting you to be very gleeful and happy, like enjoy the things around the physical world, like how beautiful the flowers are and how good they smell, and the joys of embracing that without worrying about like repercussions or outside interferences or judgments placed upon you, like not feeling embarrassed about if you were to like play in this field like children would. And the Temple of the Sun, the reason I put it upside down over this um is half for the reflection of this, where it's like there's a real telling story here of as you do inner work, your external self, like your physical self, and the world directly around you will be impacted in a way to support you and nurture those changes that you wanted to make. But the Temple of the Sun is a call to embrace uh, the lightness that you can find within and without. But the sun is usually a card about fulfilling desires, and it's a card of manifestation. And it's the specific point of manifestation where you're bringing your desires into the physical world in a way to where they're actually going to take a specific form. So I know that sounds just like the definition of manifestation. Let me see if I can phrase it a better way from the message I'm getting from your spirit guides. This is like talking about the pinpoint moment in the process of manifestation where your ethereal energy is actually being channeled into the physical world into a way to where it's going to impact it and cause the ripples, the vibrations, the butterfly effects that will shape the physical world around you. So the sun is talking a lot about how holding yourself as sacred and your emotions as sacred, your choices for what you want to do and achieve next, and the emotions you choose to plant yourself in and sail across, the emotions you choose to have carry you, are the emotions that are going to shape your physical world. So they're worth holding as sacred, and you are worthy of being highly valued by yourself and defended by yourself. So that's what I have from your significator cards. And I think we'll get like a couple tarot cards just to see what's going on. I think I'm going to leave this open. I'm not called to ask for any specific advice. I'm more okay with leaving this open and giving your spirit guides, and for some of you, like your own spirit, your higher self, like room to breathe and say whatever it is that they want to breathe. And I think the universe, even though the universe always has like nurturing messages for us, has more or less like done the same thing of I'm hearing checking out, but not really checking out. They're more giving you and your spirit guides space to do what you want to do and say what you want to say to yourself, because that encouragement is more powerful, especially when you're in a place to where you understand um like what you next want in a way to where the universe isn't going to be able to explain it the same way. Like the universe will match whatever energy you decide to live your life around and uh like continue on with. And I got a specific message talking about like the gloomy water that's getting parted here. About I heard victim complex. So for some of you, you may be giving up the subscription to the idea that um like the world is always against you or bad stuff is constantly happening to you. You know, that idea of like, why does this always happen to me? Why do people always mistreat me? Um, why do I never get what I want? Why are things always so hard? I think you're choosing to like let go of that in like a very healthy and mature way where as you let go of it and you see yourself feel better and as a result things around you start to feel better, you'll kind of never feel the need to revisit that thing again. If that applies to you. If it doesn't, this pile can still be your pile. So we got a couple cards. We didn't get a lot of them. Not really sure what else. We'll take those. Okay, so that's what we're gonna go with for clarification here. I want one more. I want these two. I don't know if you can see, but these two didn't want to slip back into the deck. So I want these two. Okay. So I think we're gonna look at these two first. So we have the Ace of Cups, exciting, and we have the Five of Wands in reverse. Let's put them. I don't know where to put them. We'll put them here for now. So I actually really like the Ace of Cups and the Five of Wands in reverse for you. The Ace of Cups talks about a true new beginning for you being the ace. Cups is the suit of emotions, like emotional maturity and clarity, and the movement of those throughout a cycle. So what I'm seeing here with like the ship over here is you're choosing to make this new emotional beginning and you're clearing out a lot of baggage. So the 5 of Wands can talk a lot about uh I would say conflict and strife, but that's not quite right. It's more like it can be conflict, but it's more about a debate. And the debate usually comes about when there's a confusion on how to proceed. And usually these debates are debates with external forces. So, like other people in your lives or other energies that are like clashing with yours. But when the Five of Wands is in reverse, sometimes it talks about introspection and the reflections of like your heart and your emotions. So you're going to be in this energy like we already saw so many times over here. I keep pointing at this card. It's a significator card for a reason, I suppose. But you're going to be in this energy of like questioning within um like your values and how you choose to proceed. And there's a call to not lean on emotions that you have maybe leaned on in the past. And that's a lot of what you're clearing up here. So for some of you, I'm hearing that that could be like a default emotion. So with the victim complex, there's a lot of feeling victimized, as that example we talked about before. But for some of you, this could be things like anger or depression, I'm hearing, where when something happens to challenge you or make you feel uncomfortable, you lean on like a certain emotion, like you fall back on it as like a default habitual response. And I think it's just something where you weren't thinking about it for a long time, so that was just like what became the norm to lean on because for a while, whatever position you were in before this, that was sort of one of your defense mechanisms or like your compensation mechanisms where you were allowing yourself to take time not growing and dealing with like the harsh environment or circumstances you were in, but whatever happened and now you're ready to change from that. And so if you have an emotion you would like lean on all the time, like if someone challenged you, you would get angry, or um if people pointed out things that you did wrong a lot or criticisms towards you, if you just like default went to crying because it made them uncomfortable and they would leave you alone, you're gonna be like stepping away from needing to use specific emotions as a crutch. And that's a good thing for you as you're like clearing a lot of stuff out because you're gonna realize that there are other emotions that you feel in response to those specific stimuli or situations or environments, or conflicts that will tell you more about yourself or the situation. So maybe instead of like uh crying when you're met with some harsh criticisms, instead you get angry and you push back, and that tells the people around you that they can't pick on you anymore. um or maybe if you meet everything with anger, instead you'll meet it from a place of understanding, and you'll take the time to take deep breaths and be patient and hear the other parties out and figure out how there can be a compromise or clearing up like a simple misunderstanding that got blown out of proportion just from the lack of communication or the amount of time it took to get to a point where everybody was ready to talk and listen. So all of this is like a really healthy change, and I'm super proud of you. Whatever it is you're doing, this is really cool. And I think that like there's never, I keep hearing very clearly like it's never too late to change and it's never too late to achieve new dreams or like broaden your horizons and like find new places. And so I think for a lot of you, you might be in a position where you think like there's like I'm getting too old for this, and like uh part of you just wants to like say I'm old, I'm tired, I'm just gonna like hang out in in my room or with my family or like in my retirement home and do nothing else. But pursuits can be those that aren't like physically restricted, you know? And what I mean by that is like if you're 80 years old and your hips aren't great, like maybe going and playing like full contact football or rugby isn't something you're comfortable doing. But there's other things you could do that can still satisfy your need for broadening your horizons. Like maybe you discover like a new genre of books that are really important to you and you like become an author at some point. Um, or you pick up like a new hobby you weren't expecting to pick up, or you make new connections with new people, and now you have a new group that you go spend time with and joke around with, and that's really like all you needed. So there's a lot of things this could be, and there's almost nothing it couldn't be. As a general reading, it's really hard for me to narrow anything down. But I think that what I want to do next is flip over a couple more of these cards. So this one is the Ten of Pentacles in reverse. And over here, we have the Hermit in reverse. So what I'm seeing with the Ten of Pentacles in reverse over the Fog card here is a reiteration of that energy of, for some of you, you kind of feel like I did everything I needed to do in the physical plane. Like I'm done. What now? Like do I just wait? Do I just wait until this is over? Like what why am I here still? There's just like a real lack of clarity. Like everything's really foggy in terms of like what you're still doing here and like what purpose you could possibly have is what I'm hearing. And I think that this energy is something that you're clearing up. We kind of talked about that. So I want to mention the actual meaning of your significator card because a lot of this has been symbolism for us. The Eight of Cups is all about clarity on an emotional level that like you haven't experienced before. So the Eight of Cups talks a little bit about like a special moment or unique opportunity, leaving behind what's no longer needed, which we've talked about a lot with like parting this like veil of gloom here. And one of the best keywords I have to describe the Eight of Cups is like the veil being parted so you can see things more clearly, and it allows you to, even though you're most of the way through a cycle, ascend further. And because you're part way or most way through a cycle, starting at ace and going to 10, you're able to bring a lot of experience that you gathered from the beginning parts of this cycle or previous points in your life with you. And that's why now the veil's parting as opposed to earlier, because you're well equipped to handle this and actually part the veil. I think what's really cool here, though, is that you're the one parting the veil. It's not like the universe was like, level unlocked, achievement unlocked, here you go. Like, you're the one that's actually grabbing, like, the curtain and pulling it aside. Like you don't need anyone to tell you you're ready for it. You're doing it yourself. And that's part of what the orange energy is, I think, is orange doesn't wait for permission, nor does orange feel the need to like ask for forgiveness. Orange does what they feel is the righteous thing to do because they have the energy and the motivation, the passion to do it. And like take with that what you will, but right now, like that's a really great thing to be doing for yourself for sure. And the Three of Pentacles, I actually really like. The Three of Pentacles is like a sort of a miraculous energy of like in the physical world at least, like everything's coming together all at once, like inexplicable happy coincidences and like good occurrences just happen. So like if you need money to get yourself off on the right foot, this is the energy of getting enough money to go do that. The Three of Pentacles, like threes are a lot about expansion and creation. So when we apply that to the physical world, we see like opportunities opening if you needed a new opportunity to open. if you channeled that somehow because you're doing all of this like wonderful energy work. There's coincidences that can occur that will like affirm things for you. Um, you may find that things move faster than you originally thought they were, and things are like easier to achieve, or things move in your favor, situations resolve in your favor with like less energy or emotional drain or strife than you thought they would. You may have important people appear in your life in like a very synchronistic way where they're there right when they need to be and right when you need them. Like it benefits you very clearly. And not to say it's at their detriment or doesn't benefit them, but like everything just kind of like plops into place. Um, and you have all the resources you need to continue accelerating and moving forward. That's sort of the energy behind the Three of Pentacles. And it being over, your one uh I would say like most significant significator card here, like the loudest, most symbolic one, and over the card with the message, my happiness is a direct reflection of my level of faith in the universe. I think that this is really telling of what you're doing. Like the changes that you're choosing to make because you're ready to make them, and you would rather not be complacent or stagnant or regress, but continue to grow for the good of you and maybe like others in your life. You're going to be supported in this endeavor because one, you choose to support yourself, and two, because the universe will see you supporting yourself and it will match that energy. And that's really where we see like the Three of Pentacles coming in here, is the universe is going to match your energy and your new aligned beliefs and kind of like help you out. Like it'll, when you raise, it'll call, essentially. With the Hermit in reverse here, I'm seeing that there's a reaffirmation here that you're not in the energy of reflection. You're in the energy of doing, and a lot of that is like doing on an internal level, but it will translate to external levels as well. And the Hermit also shows me that like you're very much not alone. And even if you don't have like a lot of people in your life or anyone in your life that you're talking to or that's going to help you out, that doesn't necessarily mean you're alone. Like you have other forces that are driving uh how these changes manifest around you in the physical world. So you have like spirit guides, you have the universe, you have uh different versions of your higher self that operate on different frequencies. You have your physical self that can actually like manipulate the matter around you, um, by just like moving stuff or creating things. And so I think that the Hermit here is saying like on an esoteric, on a metaphysical level, like you're very much supported and not alone right now. So like whatever you put into this, you'll find coming back to you like manifold. So I think that that's really exciting, and a lot of this again is fueled by hope and your choices. So just be aware that if you kind of fall back into a slump or something, it's important to put time aside to like address it, like as calmly and patiently and gracefully as you can, but like do address it. Don't like let it, don't let whatever slump like take hold again. Like if you notice you start leaning on certain emotions or beliefs because it's comfortable for you. And yes, things that are bad for you can feel comfortable because they're familiar. So just be aware that like if you start doing that again, kind of like reset yourself because some of you may just need like that close monitoring by yourself to hold yourself accountable. And like that's okay. Change is hard, and if something's habitual, it takes more effort to just get past. So, let's look at your last four cards here real quick. So, for your last cards, we have The Eight of Pentacles in reverse. The first thing I thought of is eights are really stable numbers in a way. And eights are a reflection of something that you've built upon and that is now bearing fruit in some way. With the Eight of Pentacles in reverse, a lot of what I'm hearing is that you're gonna feel a little unstable, especially as your changes internally start to affect the physical world around you. Especially when the Three of Pentacles kicks in and a lot of like synchronicities tend to happen. You might feel unstable in the physical world or like within yourself, feel a little uncertain, and that's okay. That's actually a good thing. But the Eight of Pentacles is also has a lot to do with like abundance. And so feeling unstable is good for you because that means like the changes that are happening are taking hold and you're just going to resettle into them. And when you resettle into them later, you're going to feel like you're in a much better, much more satisfactory position as to what like you're striving for here. So I guess we'll put that over here. Okay. So next we have the Queen. Oh, here we go. So next we have the Queen of Wands. We have the Five of Pentacles. And we have the World. So with the World being in reverse, I'm getting a lot of messages about how you're gonna be changing your internal world, and some of your like lower, like longer wavelength frequencies, like your so below frequencies, um, like we talked about over here with your significator card, and that will open up like an entire world that's a lot brighter for you. So like you're going to be working on all of this like more dark nebulous stuff first, and then that's going to open up like new horizons over here that feel much like brighter and easier to see and achieve. And then the Queen of Wands and the Five of Pentacles I want to unpack together. So I'll put them next to each other. So the Five of Pentacles in reverse signifies a breakthrough. So, what we've kind of been talking about, where you're releasing a lot of blockages. And for you, those blockages just happen to be like on a deeper emotional level here. And when you release all of those blockages, you'll kind of fall into or step into this Queen of Wands energy. And these are showing up in reverse again. Um, Partly because they message us that way, but also because reverse has been telling us a lot about you doing the internal work and then that translating to the outside work. So the Queen of Wands here is significating the energy you're going to step into, which is for one like very charismatic and alive. Um it's like very fiery. It has like that orange energy that we've been seeing throughout this reading. And there's a lot of tones of being inspirational, being able to achieve their own dreams, and having the energy and adeptness to help others achieve theirs as well. There's also a lot of emphasis placed on focusing on the present and your passions. So there will be, for some of you, I'm hearing there will be a lessened worry or release of the worry of what's going to happen in the future. Um, if some of you feel like haunted by your past, you're going to find ways to deal with that, that will allow you to let go of these negative emotions that you have associated with your past. So maybe you forgive yourself or others. Maybe you come to terms with what happened finally. And you're just going to be able to live in the present and for the present because at a certain extent, the present is all we really have. Like, we can think about the future and we can expect what's going to happen in the future, but the present is what we're currently experiencing, and that's the only thing we're really guaranteed to experience. So there's going to be like a celebration from you of what you're actually doing every day and what you get to do every day. And that's going to be because you built this. Like, you put yourself in a position of power to have the freedom to enjoy your present moment regularly instead of only feeling like that happens every now and then and it doesn't last long enough. And that, pile one, is all I have for you. But that's a really exciting, cool energy. Um, I'm rooting for you, your spirit guides are rooting for you, and I can't wait to see what you'll accomplish. So, if you want to let me know or cheer on other pile ones, you can leave a comment, or if you want to keep it more private, you can email us. Our email is in the description of the video. So, I will see you next time in a brand new reading. Hello, my dear pile number two. So these are your cards for the reading. So if you picked your pile using the Neon Tarot or the Clear Quartz Point or the Significator card with the water, ocean, moon definition, then this is going to be your reading. So, the reason this one card is over your pile sideways is because when I was moving this deck, this pile did not, or this card did not want to move. So, I think it's another significator card just to talk about some of the energies you're in. And we're going to respect that message and treat it as such. So, with the tarot cards, I'm thinking we'll use these for extra messages or clarification after we look at all your significator cards. So for now, I'm gonna put it aside and we will reference it later as I see fit. Okay, we'll look at that card in a minute. I do think I want to start with your water, ocean, moon card here. So I think the symbolism is going to be important. I know there's a glare because this card is so dark, but there's a astral body down here like a planet or the moon, and then there are two hands reaching up from behind it. There's a light source, and then there's the line of the water here, and then there's a horizon with a moon and some clouds above it. I'm getting some messages about really deep emotions, and these messages feel, or not the messages themselves, but the emotions that are coming from this feel kind of icky. And I know it's like kind of gross when adults use the word icky, but like that's kind of the best way for me to describe this, where they're not enough of a negative stimuli to make you like turn tail and run. But when you're near or you're in these emotions, it does make you feel a little bit gross, a little bit worn down, like someone's been like grating on you with like sandpaper or cheese grater. And like they just make you feel kind of bad. Like you're kind of like sludged down, you know? So we'll figure out what some of those emotions are later. And these could be like not your emotions. These could be like people around you depending on what situation you're in. But there's a real depth, an emotional depth to what's going on here. So we'll put that over here for now. And I feel like there is a combat of emotions. Like there's a clash here, and I don't know if this is like your internal emotions and dialogue are clashing. Like maybe you're doing some shadow work. Maybe you're moving past your ego being not nice to you because for some reason, that's a part of its job and sometimes it feels like it does it a little too well. Or maybe this is like a clash with other people who have like some deep-seated emotions. Something I'm hearing is like some people may have like some deep-seated rage towards you. And it's not like you did anything wrong. In fact, I think in those situations, a lot of you were being pretty secretive. Like, you can't see the figure that the arms are attached to behind this moon here. But what you're doing is just like this card did when I held it up to the camera and there was a lot of like reflections in it. You're almost acting like a dark mirror for them where they're seeing the parts of themselves that they hate the most. And in no way should that ever be your problem. But people in the physical world have a funny way of making their issues other people's. And sometimes we have to deal with that. Sometimes we can't help it. Like sometimes we're in a situation where we can't avoid or not interact with those people. I think it would be very out of touch for me to say like, oh, one of your coworkers or your boss or your family members that you depend on is like constantly mistreating you and it's bad for your mental health. Just quit. Just move out and be homeless. Because then emotionally you're taking care of yourself. Like sometimes that's not an appropriate way to tell somebody to handle the situation. So it's not always like we can just very easily step away from whatever's bothering us, or people that are harnessing like internalized repressed rage. But that doesn't mean that that energy won't come out in this reading. So for some of you, I feel like um, other people are mistreating you potentially in these situations. But we'll figure out more because that's just one card here, and you have a whole little pile, including this boy. So I want to look at your tarot card significator next, and you got two from two different decks. But we have the Eight of Wands in reverse. Like I say in most of my readings where reverse comes up, reverse isn't a bad thing. Don't be bothered by it. We'll get more information. It's just a different way for the cards to give me more specific messages. I want to point out the symbolism here of the person drawing the bow and aiming the arrow and all these wands like towards the moon here. I feel like a lot of shots have been fired at you, and I don't know if like you're firing internal shots towards yourself. Some of you I feel like may be doing that, and I feel like of the subset of you that are doing that, some of you may be doing that because other people have been firing shots at you, and it's gotten to you to the point where you've internalized what these other people have said about you. So they'll say damaging criticisms or attacks towards you, and you've heard it so much, and in maybe some like vulnerable points in your life to where um now you're firing shots at yourself. Like you're in a position where you accept what they say and like you're confirming it or affirming it to yourself. And I think that's why this energy feels icky, is because like it's so uncalled for what these other people are doing with like attacking you. And I feel like for those of you who are in positions where you're getting like attacked, um, like emotionally by other people, there's a lot of energies I'm feeling of being misunderstood, which is what's going to happen if people see you as like a dark mirror. They're not seeing you for you, they're just like seeing themselves projected onto you, and that's really not fair, but it happens sometimes. And for some of us it happens like way more often than we would like, which is ever, to be fair. um but I feel like there's a lot of, I'm getting like cotton mouth, the dry throat, like the sweaty hands, the wanting to like run away, but worried that when you turn around, they're gonna like hit you in the back, um, because you turned your back to them, like while trying to escape. So now there's this energy of like, I don't know how to escape the situation. Um, and I think all of these are like very scary, but like very real feelings that we have in really tough situations sometimes. We'll keep looking at your cards. So here we have the rainbow. And one of the things I want to point out here is that there's just absolute like darkness, like a just a black veil surrounding this person that has like very vivid, bright colors. And I feel like this is a representation of you and your soul, where like you are very beautiful and you're able to cut through a lot of blackness to more or less get to like the heart of a matter. But the problem is that other people can't see you for what you are. They're just seeing you as like that dark reflection of themselves. So when they look at you, they just see like this abyss, and when that abyss stares back at them, it pisses them off and they go into like more or less a blind rage because they are blind. They can't see you for you, and that can be really damaging. But the other thing I notice about this is this figure is like really high up on the card, and there's this trail that like widens out from them. So it's like where you go, you tend to leave things better than they were. Like you imprint a lot of love and light and laughter and color. And it's a shame that you're in a position to where it feels like you don't have a lot of that coming back to you. It's just you leaving it behind as you move forward. But one thing I will say is like this white light here, this little like beam or like string of light coming from like the figure's like sternum or clavicle area. To me, the symbolism I'm getting for this reading is that like your heart is tied to, I don't want to say like a certain dream or calling, but like your soul came here with a very like divine purpose that it's motivated to achieve, even if you can't remember what it is. And your heart and your intuition like kept that imprint. And so it's like, even though you feel like you're kind of lost, maybe for some of you, and stumbling around because it feels like wherever you go, you're just getting like attacked. Um, you're going where you need to go and you're always pulled in a direction that's like appropriate for you. And I think some of you get pulled in ways that are like pretty difficult and seem unfair because there are like for some of you some really hard challenging lessons to learn. And in the moment of learning those difficult challenging lessons, it's really difficult to understand how it could be healthy or something you picked when you came here as a soul to deal with, or how you're going to get through it or things are going to get better. It can be really discouraging in like some very, I want to say, like adult kind of ways where sometimes you contemplate if like life is worth it or like this life specifically is worth it. And I think we'll get more into that in a little bit because I don't want to make assumptions. Um, because not all of you are here with that contemplation of if this life is worth it. But for a lot of you, I get the sense that like you want a very drastic change to happen because the course that your life has been on for a really long time doesn't really feel like it's benefiting you. It's just benefiting like all these other people that like you've come across. And at a certain extent like that's really draining for you. And I didn't hear the word people. I heard all of these fuckers. So there's definitely some very like powerful emotions behind this card. And I think that that's fair. Like if you're going through patterns of people mistreating you, downplaying you, like devaluing you, gaslighting you, taking you for granted, taking advantage of you, taking things from you, whether that's like your time, your money, your possessions, your love life, your friends away, like whatever it may be, like that stuff sucks and you have a right to feel strongly about it and be angry about it. So we'll move on here. The next card we have for you is Cosmic Child. So I think Cosmic Child is almost. I'm getting some mixed messages here from a lot of different sources. So you're going to have to give me just a moment to break them down. But one thing I'm hearing is that your higher self is kind of telling you like you're still just a child. Like you came here with essentially what I like to call spiritual amnesia. um like even though we all kind of chose to be here 99% of the time for one reason or another, and by here I mean like show up as an incarnate on earth. um we don't remember like exactly why we're here. Like we're not like, oh, we came here on Earth so that we could achieve X, Y, and Z and like learn lessons A, B, and C, and everything's gonna be frickin' dandy. Like if we came to Earth knowing we were going to do those things, then like we wouldn't bother to show up to Earth. Like the reason of living and not knowing what's happening tomorrow is so that we can experience tomorrow and it will be significant. Like if we already knew everything that was going to happen in our lives, like it wouldn't hit the same and it would be mundane and like just I don't know, like not as good. Like we wouldn't learn anything or feel like anything was impacting us on like a real level. And that's what makes Earth so hard. And it gets especially hard when you're in like shitty situations. Um and so your higher self is kind of telling you like go easy on yourself, kid. Like you're like on a spiritual level, you nerfed yourself. You don't remember why you're here or what you're capable of. And so you're kind of just fumbling around as like a spiritual child to learn all these big lessons. And that doesn't mean that like you're any less capable, but what it means is that you're going to rediscover parts of yourself that your higher self knows that you have, but like you're not sure that you have. And the problem with these really hard situations is sometimes the advice you get spiritually isn't something that you can incorporate the way that you think you can um the right way. So like my example of, oh, if your workplace is toxic and bad for you, just quit your job. Like even though that's great spiritual advice, that doesn't really help if on a physical level, logistically, that's not gonna end well for you. And it's gonna put you in like more distress and a worse position somehow than like you were before. And it's up to you to like balance yourself on what's worth it and what's not worth it. And this is a general reading, so there's no way in hell I could ever like answer any of this. I'm also realizing like in this reading, a lot of the messages I get are swearing a lot. So I feel like for a lot of you, you're in a point of like bluntness, like you're over trying to beat around the bush or pretending like this isn't happening. Like you're out of that denial stage of like, oh, maybe I misinterpreted these people, maybe this is a one-off thing. Like now you're just kind of in that position of you've accepted what your situation is, but now you're like angry and bitter about it because you're done putting up with it. Like you don't want to take this anymore. And so even if the changes are gradual, if you are honest with yourself about that and you hold energies of saying, I'm going to do everything I can to reject this situation and transition into something better, the universe will match that in whatever way it can, and eventually you'll see the situation like either resolving or getting easier. Like you might find like a really miraculous out to your situation, but the problem is that for a lot of you, and this message sucks to hear most of the time, trust me. Please trust me, like I've been there, I know. um but a lot of times we're in really tough situations, or we keep getting in tough situations over and over and over again, and where it's like, oh god, this is happening again, why me? um because there's some very profound lesson to learn there that we haven't quite grasped yet. And so until we learn that lesson, the situation doesn't become alleviated. Or if we get out of it, like if we find a way to get out of it, it will repeat itself again because there's something there for you to work through that's like really profound. And that doesn't make this situation any easier, But the reason I bring it up is because I'm hearing like when you address this situation, it'll be the last time you have to go through something in this way that's like this traumatic um and like this detrimental to you. So if you're in a position where a lot of people are like verbally abusing you and you're in a situation where you're getting attacked a lot with a lot of insults, as you learn whatever there is to learn from the situation and grow and move past it, you'll find that a situation like this doesn't really happen again. Like you never fall into another situation where you're surrounded by a lot of people that are willing to just openly insult you as often as they are right now. So I guess we'll get more information on trying to figure out like what you're supposed to learn. I keep staring at the star right here next to the person and like it feels far away. Um but like it's trying to say something. I don't know if this is like a spirit guide or your higher self being like, "Hey, listen." But we'll see what happens. I do want to say when I first started this reading, like when I was grabbing the cards to put here to actually say hi, I do listen to music when I do these readings with headphones on, so I can like get extra messages from other sources. It's just a preference of mine. And uh when I was like setting up the playlist, which just has a bunch of randomized like non-repeating songs, I kind of heard like your feisty higher self or yourself saying, like, no, I don't want you to listen to music and I don't want to hear like music with lyrics in it. I don't want there to be words. I don't want people to talk to me. And I think a lot of that is because for a lot of you, like people talking to you has been really damaging right now, and it's not something that you've been wanting to hear more of. And there was an energy of when I actually started playing the music, because I was like, this is my reading, you can't tell me what to do. Um, there was this energy of like, oh well, fine, fuck you, that came along with that. And so I think that there's a lot of aggression coming from you, and I wouldn't say it's misplaced. I would say it's appropriate for the situation you in. But there's a real want to like not have people speak more words to you because in whatever conversations you're having, there seems to be a pattern of damage. But I think that that rejection of other words, even coming from individuals, albeit strangers like me, who are well meaning. Like, I do these readings with the intention that, like, those who listen to it and find that it resonates with them, it will actually help. Um, like, because you're in a place of so much hurt, when they hear someone else, like, looking at you, especially in like a vulnerable, deep way, it's met with expected, I guess I would say. Um, like defensive aggression, if that makes sense. And I think that part of that is what's happening with this star here, where it's like, I feel like this star wants to tell you something. It's like, listen, um, like I got something for you. I can kind of maybe help you out, sort of. And you're kind of putting this black veil around it. Like you have your arms out to kind of like encase the star, but you're not actually like touching it or hugging it. And your head's back, like you're not listening to it either. You're just kind of like, you're gonna stay over there because you're annoying me. And like, I don't need your help. I don't want to hear it. And like, there's nothing you could tell me that I don't already know, or that would make me feel any better. And I think that that's a very real, like relatable, understandable place to be coming from when you're like beaten down or hurt this bad. And I think part of one of your like big revelations and your lesson here moving forward is that you're going to understand how to open yourself back up, even if it's just to yourself, to not necessarily like swat everything away, but even though it hurts, you're gonna like use discernment to try to understand what messages are well meaning for you. we'll move on. We got a couple more cards here. So this one says energy flows where my intention goes. And I think that this is a message from your higher self. But like your past higher self, where it was like it was you in the energy of when you decided to come here. So what I mean by that is like you understood when you came here like this wasn't going to be an easy lifetime. And I hear like a current version of yourself being like uh then like what was the point of me coming here? Like this isn't worth it. Like no lesson could ever be worth this. Um and so I think there's kind of like an internal struggle you're going through right now of like even though you're in a really hard spot, you're getting messages that are trying to give you hints on how you can change your perception to like give yourself the opportunities to see new ways out of whatever you're in. So this is almost like 5 of Pentacles energy for those of you who are like tarot card savvy, where you're in a really tough situation. No one's disputing that or devaluing that. Like the situation you're in sucks. But at a certain point, um if you get bogged down by that, you can inadvertently perpetuate that situation because you'll be so engrossed in and hurt by the situation that you forget to like look up and around you and see that there are avenues you can pursue that will help get you unstuck or healed. And not all of these are going to happen like in the blink of an eye or overnight. And when I give you advice, I just hear a lot of like repeating, like "fuck you" in the background, and um, I feel like a lot of that is because for a decent amount of you out there, for a long time, there's been this rejection of advice, um, that has been perceived as like a, you know what, if you just put a smile on and like go smell the roses, it doesn't matter that like people are constantly devaluing you as a human being. Like that's kind of what a lot of advice you've heard so far feels like, where people are like, oh, just suck it up and smile, it'll get better. And it's like that's just very insensitive, and it's really out of touch, and it's just in super bad taste. um and so I'm trying to be careful here with not giving you that kind of message. Like I'm not, for some of you this situation, as soon as you like get the message you're supposed to, it may resolve like that. But for a lot of you, like this may be small incremental changes because that's all that's safe for you in your situation to make. So maybe like the incremental changes for you are to stop your own thought patterns of maybe you can't retaliate in a way to where you can get other people to stop taking shots at you, but you can stop slandering yourself. You can stop putting yourself down. You can challenge your ideas. And I feel like a big lesson of what you're learning here is that just because the majority or what feels like the consensus of those around you is to call you one thing or group you as one thing or perceive you as something doesn't mean that that's what you need to identify as. You identify yourself however you want to, and nobody gets to tell you that. But somewhere along the way, because you heard it so often and potentially at points in your life where you were more vulnerable, or more insecure or more impressionable, so maybe this happened a lot when you were younger, and it just got like ingrained in you. Um, or it happened in a relationship, like a romantic relationship that was significant for you. Your partner like put down put you down a lot or has been putting you down a lot, and now you're in a position where you've kind of internalized those things because it came from somebody that you cared a lot about and you trusted them to take care of you. So, like, their harmful words coming from not places of love held a lot more weight than they should have. And this isn't an opportunity for you to be mad at yourself over it. Like, that's not going to help the situation, nor is it like appropriate or necessary. Like, I wouldn't even call this a mistake. It's just like one of the things about being a human being and having like spiritual amnesia and having a dumb little reptilian brain with an ego is that we are impressionable and sometimes we adopt ways of thinking that aren't good for us. But what that means is that when we grow from those and we actually reject those ways of thinking, they'll never impact us the same way again. And so you're learning like a really hard lesson of just rejecting that. And even if you can't physically remove yourself from the situations where people are taking these shots at you, you can do what you can. You can put in the mental and the spiritual work to not let those things hurt you. And so it's not the same as saying just have a thicker skin. This is on a much deeper level of saying, like, I don't identify as that, and there's no one in the world that can tell me what I am and what I'm going to identify as. And even if, like, just because I don't outwardly constantly portray what I am physically for other people to see, doesn't mean that I'm not that thing. So for example, you can have women that are like really masculine and really feminine. You can have men that are really masculine and really like feminine or effeminate in like their actions or their fashion sense or their attire. And that doesn't mean that they want to identify as strictly male or female or that they have a specific like sexual orientation or like cultural background. So like if you're getting a lot of crap because you happen to have like a specific sexual orientation, for example, um, and you're getting like a lot of crap for that because you're in like a really bigoted part of the world or community for whatever reason, and it doesn't like you don't have the means to like go move and set up a life somewhere else away from this, and you got outed when you didn't want to be outed, like everyone else can tell you like, oh, you're like worth literally nothing, you're trash because you're not straight. But you don't have to take that to heart or believe them. Even if you hear it constantly, it's kind of like it's going to be hard for you, for some of you, to make this switch in your brain, but once you do, like what they say isn't actually going to hit home ever, and it never will again. And so an example of that is like um growing up, what one of my grandparents or my great grandparents, I can't remember, it was like a great uncle or something. He was a total jerk, and he thought it would be funny to teach like his kid that down was up and up was the word down. And so that kid thought like the sky was down and the ground was up for the first like 4 or 5 years of his life. And then the kid went to school and everyone told him it was the other way around. And he got picked on pretty bad for it because, like, every other kid was like, you're stupid. And the teachers who had more nuance than that understood that his parents were actual jerks. Um, and it was like really frustrating for him to say, like, for people to tell him the sky is up. He was like, no, the sky's down. Like, you're all just like ridiculous. And eventually one day, like a teacher sat him down and they said, your parents have actually been lying to you. Um, and that's not how it actually is. And the teachers actually like called the parent into the classroom and had the parent admit to the child that like he lied to the kid about a definition of like a pretty like common word. And then like the flip switched for the kid and he said, okay, the sky is up and the ground is down. And it took him like a few like weeks to get used to it and not out of habit call the sky down, even though he knew it wasn't down anymore, it was up. But like now, if someone told him, hey, the sky is down, he would be like, no, it's not. And like it would literally mean nothing to him, except for I probably don't want to hang out with that person because they're a douchebag just like my parent. Um, and that's kind of what I'm hearing here is like when you decide that no one else gets to tell you how much worth you have, how valuable you are, or like what you are, and only you define like your value and your worth. When you like actually embrace that meaning, a switch is gonna flip, and next time someone tells you you're trash, it's just literally gonna mean nothing. Like just water off a duck. It just won't impact you. It'll never hit the same way it does again. Whereas right now, like there's probably some of you out there in this pile that are in like romantic relationships where your partner regularly tells you like you're trash unless you're doing what they want you to do. And that's the only time they like let off of this. And that's something that you can combat by first changing how you feel about yourself and like raising yourself up and picking yourself up. And when you raise yourself and pick yourself up and you like embody different beliefs, like I promise you, the universe will find ways to align you with situations and circumstances where you're not going to be surrounded by people that affirm these beliefs that you're not as good as you actually are. You're not as deserving of love as you actually are. Um, and it sucks that like this is a situation anyone could find themselves in. Like it's just there's no other word for it. Like it sucks that there are people out there that are like fine with shamelessly treating other people like this. But this is your lesson to learn, and once you learn it, like you'll never have to learn it again because you just simply won't accept this, and you won't be aligned with people who would ever treat you like this again. So you won't get entrenched in situations like this where it'll ever happen again. The last thing I want to mention with this card, because the whole time I've been talking while holding this card, this message has been like just replaying over and over and over in my head. Like someone really wants to say this. I don't know who it's going to be significant for, but let me zoom up here. So with the yellow water that's like streaking down, somebody out there is saying that like this is kind of like people disrespecting you. Like they're just taking the piss out of the situation for those of you who are in cultures that actually like relate to that. Or like you're just getting like peed on over and over again. Like one of the most like primal versions of disrespect, right? Is like peeing on somebody or like spitting on them or like taking a shit on them, right? And as gross as that sounds, like it's I keep hearing someone's higher self just telling them like it's time to like stop getting peed on. Like it's time to just like stop letting people actually like do this to you. So for some of you, maybe part of your growth, if it's safe for you to do so, because some situations are really scary, but if it's safe for you to do so, it's time to just tell like that one person, like when they take these shots at you, like more or less in whatever way is aligned with you, like with peace and love, just fuck off. I think for some of you, it's actually safe for you to do that and be aggressive. So like use your own discernment. This is a general reading. I can't help you with that. But even if you're not in a position where you can tell said people fuck off, you're definitely in a position where you can be kind to yourself and make the changes needed to where like even when people are nasty to you, you don't accept that as part of a definition of yourself and your reality. And from that, like your reality will start to shift. You just have to like be consistent and unwavering with this and like provide yourself the love that you deserve, and you'll start seeing that being given to you from external sources. You'll be amazed. I'm hearing like you'll be amazed with when you actually genuinely make that transition. like how well everything's going to work out for you, and for some of you like how quickly it's going to happen. Now the nuance here, the trick here is that you can't just tell yourself like, "Oh, I love myself more because I want to be in a better situation." Like that is very different from genuinely believing that you are worthy of love and that you love yourself. And because the universe operates on energies and people navigate through the world on energies, and we manifest based on our energies. If you just say it, like you're just going through the motions because you found this reading and you're like, let's see if it works, it's not going to work. Um, because just saying it is different than like breaking yourself down and rebuilding yourself on healthier wavelengths and frequencies that will be like dissonant to all this other negative crap, and so it'll like get repelled away from you, kind of like two magnets. So I just want to put that warning out there of when you do this work, it has to be genuine or you won't see any payoffs, because if it's not genuine, your energies won't change and the universe won't pick up on any changes to help you out. And so it's like, even if you put the intentions in there of, I do want to love myself more and I do want to disagree what everyone says, and like I still catch myself thinking the wrong thing sometimes, like that's still a massive step in the right direction, as opposed to when you just never gave yourself any good feedback at all. You know what I mean? And so even the smallest steps will snowball. And even if you only say it and believe it sometimes, and then when someone talks crap about or to you, you feel bad again, but you can get yourself back out of that, if you spend enough time with yourself telling yourself, like, it's okay, like, I'm worthy of love, da da da. Um, Even if it's like baby steps, those baby steps will start to compound and get easier. Like you just have to put some intentions out there and the universe like will work with you and it'll get easier for you to work with yourself. But this is an opportunity and an invitation for you to decide what you want to live the next part of your life, believing you're worthy of. Are you worthy of love? Are you worthy of being in a safe space? Are you worthy of people being grateful you're in their lives? Are you worthy of people giving back to you and you not just giving? And the answer to all of these is yes. And my bet is if you watch this reading, because I do these readings with the intention that they're going to help the people that resonate with them, you will also at your core believe in yourself and say yes to all of those. Even if it's scary and new and uncomfortable for you to say yes to all of those, like the answer is yes. And I'm not getting as much like pushback from your higher self. Like when I started this reading and they were like, no, I don't want you to like talk to me and I don't want you to listen to music that's going to say things to me. They're very like kind of calm now and like kind of like I'm getting the motion of like they just kind of like nod every now and then when I say something. And I'm like getting the urge to cry a little bit because I think some of you are releasing a lot of stuff right now, like a lot of like heavy bad emotions. Um and this video may have triggered some of the release of some of that emotions for you, or like reopened that release, and that's okay. And I feel like some of you feel guilty for believing these lies that other people have been saying for so long, because they are lies. When they're devaluing you like that, they're and slandering you like that, they're fucking lies. um but like guilt is an emotion we have that imprints in our minds so that we understand we don't want to act that way again. It's an emotional mechanism we have that tells us, I'm not going to repeat that ever again because it feels bad when I do so. And so you can acknowledge your guilt as that by itself and then like be kind to yourself, be patient with yourself and just release that, let it go, however long it takes to let that go, whether it be like seconds, hours, or frickin' like weeks or months, but like just let that go and move on. Like you don't have to beat yourself up for feeling guilty. You can just acknowledge that like I've grown a lot if I'm at a point to where I am feeling guilt and I acknowledge I no longer want to feel this way anymore. Like that is a huge achievement in of itself. Especially considering the energy I got from this reading was like I don't want to talk to you. Like go away. So I'm really proud of you for whatever that means. And I'm sending you like a virtual metaphysical hug. And we're going to actually get to your last significator card. Jeez, I had a lot of things to say. So we are looking at the card Bliss. And I see Bliss as the end point. Like chronologically, you're starting here and you're going to here. So you're in a place where you're hard on yourself, you're down on yourself. You've probably like been hiding a lot of yourself cuz like you're concealed behind this moon here. And you're taking a lot of shit from yourself and external sources. Like you're getting disrespected, right? Like you're getting peed on. um and it's time for people to stop marking you as like their punching bag and telling you like what you're worth, who you are, what your value is. Like all of that is stuff that you can reject regardless of if you can leave the situation or if you tell them off. Like you can just reject that and it can like mean very little or nothing to you. It's just going to take a while to get there, to break out of this habitual pattern and change your core beliefs because you have to like consciously change your beliefs and then you have to do that enough for it to imprint on your subconscious. And that can take a lot of time. That can be sped up with meditation, but that takes time still. Especially if this has been like a long standing issue or if these bad beliefs, these untrue lies, these detrimental things were like perpetuated and instilled on you when you were really young. Um, because a young mind is so impressionable, like we'll adopt it in like very strange ways. Like I'm still getting over some things that um like adults instilled on me when I was a child. And it's not necessarily because like I've been running away from them this long, but it's because you don't think to question specific things when they've been told to you so often and regularly that it's akin to the same level as when your mom tells you when someone does something nice for you, you say thank you. Or when you ask for something, you say please. Or when it's raining outside, you put a damn coat on. Um, like sometimes things that are detrimental to you, like you're worth nothing, you're trash, or um, like you're gonna listen to me and never question anything, and you're gonna do X, Y, and Z because I told you so, and like the only way you're gonna find worth in this world is if you please me. Like if those things have been told to you with the same level of like adamancy and certainty, assertion and frequency as things like you brush your teeth before you go to bed, it's harder for you to recognize to yourself that those are things that should be questioned or need to be questioned. So, like, we all move at our own pace and we all learn and grow when we need to, but we do all our movements of growing and learning like exactly when we're meant to and exactly when we're ready to. So there's no reason to like be ashamed or feel like you let yourself down just because you've gotten to a point that feels really bad. Like this is an opportunity to be like a really big turning point and everybody loves like a badass comeback story if that's how you want to think about it. So we're going from like this of being mistreated and stuff to like kind of like following your heart and pulling yourself out of this mess um to actual like bliss. And bliss is essentially, I like to think of it as the state of what makes life worth it. And so I think this is something that for a lot of you you've been sorely lacking if you have been asking the questions of like, is this really worth it? Is this worth it anymore? The answer is yes. You just have to do some really tough inner work right now and you have to be genuine with it and persistent with it, but you'll get to a point where like you're not going to feel a lack of love, respect, gratitude for you being alive, purpose, um, or joy, like all of that, and tranquility and safety. Like all of that is going to be stuff that you supply to yourself first, and then you see supplied to you from the external later when the universe can like pick up on your vibrations and bring more of that to you like through attractive forces. So there's like a real optimistic end goal here of getting to whatever it is that you really want. And that stretches beyond just getting out of this situation. It's like, if you get out of this situation, what do you want your life to actually look like? How do you want you to actually feel about yourself? And how do you want other people to feel about you? And like, that's all going to be reflected in how you feel about and how you treat yourself. So let's look at the last card that like came from your actual tarot deck. So we have the 8 of Swords, and I'm actually called to like keep it sideways. I don't want to move it. So something about the 8 is I always see the 8 as being stable. And that doesn't go for like the 8 of Swords, that just kind of goes for the number in general. And that's because it's built on 2 4s, and 4s are essentially really, really stable. So with the 8 of Swords, I'm seeing that like, and outside of the canonical message of the 8 of Swords, that you've been here for a while and you're at a point where you're in a very stable loop of it. Like the 8, you kind of have these two loops that are connected and you kind of just like cycle between them, sort of like if you turn the 8 sideways, you can draw like the infinity sign over and over again. It kind of feels like that, where like you're just going through the same motions, the same cycle of somebody mistreated me, and now I'm internalizing that and mistreating myself. And then somebody mistreated me, so I'm internalizing that and mistreating myself. And you're just kind of going through that over and over and over again. The reason this card is like sideways for me is because I get messages like that sometimes. Um, and you just have to deal with it if I'm your reader. But the the 8 is kind of like slipping in and out between the shadow side and the upright side as far as like what meanings of this card could be. So like the reverse side and the upright side. So with the 8 of Swords, usually the figure finds themselves in a scary predicament, like a terrible situation. But it's nothing that like they can't get out of themselves if they choose to actually work on getting out of it. And that's kind of the whole energy we've been getting from all these other significator cards here, with a taste of like what it's actually going to be like when you get out of it. And the the 8 of Swords is has a lot of meanings of you have the power to escape, but until you recognize that, you feel bound and like you're paralyzed. You might feel like there's a time pressure, like time's running out for whatever reason. Um, there's also this perpetuating of your own suffering. Like you feel like, um, I wouldn't say you feel like, actually, let me take that back. It's like you bring a lot of awareness and you fixate and you focus and you get tunnel vision on your suffering to the point where you're kind of blind to the fact that not everything is about your suffering in your life. There are points where you're not actively being uh, insulted or attacked by somebody else. And maybe those points aren't as bad as the others. And those could be situations where you could be a lot happier, but you're sitting there with this internal environment of also not honoring or loving yourself the way that you deserve. So there's a call to like get out of that, which is what we've been talking a lot about. So with the reverse side of the 8 of Swords, there's also an emphasis of showing you there's a lot of drama in your life. And if you're getting attacked a lot then and disrespected a lot, I would say yeah, there is. But there's also this resistance to stockpile certain emotions. And I think that you've been doing that in ways that are not healthy. Um, so you've been stockpiling like emotions of dread or fear or anger, um, like towards yourself if you've internalized some of these like just lies and untruths from other people, which we did talk about. I don't want to go back into that at the moment as we unpack this card. So the Eight of Swords being sideways is talking about how like both sides of this card are applying to you. And it's interesting because the reverse side of the Eight of Swords talks about how there is an energy where you can take proactive steps. And there's a need to completely write your story of who you are by taking proactive steps. And so those steps can start off by being like mental proactive steps of not putting yourself down. But I love the message here of completely rewriting your story, because from the ground up you're telling yourself who you actually are, what you deserve, um, what you are going to give yourself, what you're going to reject from the outside world, and you're going to transition into this position of achieving actual bliss and being very happy with yourself and eventually your situation. Because again, like manifestation and changes in the universe are met and channeled through your energies. So when you do the internal mental work to change your energies, you'll bring about situation changes where you'll be surprised about how you get away from all of this, cuz for a lot of you out there I'm feeling like you feel like it's impossible. But the only things that are impossible are the things that we decide are impossible. And I think that for some of you this reading um is going to be one of those synchronicities where you've been getting messages of like wake up and move past this and work on yourself and love yourself before, and this is just like another confirmation of those synchronicities and messages that you've seen in your life. So I don't really have like a specific message for you. I feel like your higher self wants to know more about how your situation will be blissful. So I guess we can ask for that while we're shuffling here. Because I feel like um, some of you might find it motivating if the tarot card reader on the internet can tell you you'll have lots of money. And not to throw shade at other tarot card readers, but like a lot of people don't do these heavy readings. And they like to stick to the readings of what surprises and blessings are coming in next in your life. And then all you hear is like, you're going to have a lot of money and like a great love life and da 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 da. And so I feel like if you want to hear those messages, a billion people can give them to you. Um, but maybe it holds more weight coming from someone who has walked with you through this whole reading, because I'm willing to talk about crap that a lot of people don't want to talk about. Like literal crap, because people telling you you're something that you're not is the definition of crap, okay? Like their mouth is dishing out more shit than their assholes, all right? So I guess you're the reason this pile is rated 18 plus, but you know, that's okay. So we have a judgment. Ooh. You're gonna love this. We're dishing the tea now. So with the judgment card, I'm gonna keep shuffling for some more because I feel like this is the part of the reading where you're like, I am a badass. Um, the judgment card is funny because everyone who's been using you as a black mirror, I'm hearing the phrase they're about to get served. And I think what that means is when you do the inner work to move on, that'll be the point where you learned your lesson and you don't need these people in your life anymore. Um, and a lot of you would say, I don't need them now, but this lesson was important enough for you to think it was worth going through the pain that you went through. And I think that that deserves a certain level of respect from yourself, however much you don't want to hear that. Because this lesson was really important for you. It was so important to you that it was worth being hurt this badly over. It's kind of like when someone is very vain and their outward appearance means more to them than anything else. And so they go through the pain of getting like a bunch of plastic surgery. Because when you get a nose job, like someone breaks your nose and then realigns it and like messes with all the tissue in there, you better believe that stuff hurts. But like some people, they value that so highly, like the appearance or the look on the other side, that like it's worth the pain. And other people might say like, oh well, that's unnecessary, like that your nose was fine, whatever. But to them it was a big deal. And I think that instead of saying it's not worth the pain, like whatever, I think you deserve to give yourself the respect of telling yourself like, me understanding I am worth the goddamn world, and nobody else gets to tell me I'm not worthy of love, and that they should be grateful I'm in their lives, and like we're gonna respect each other, and I'm worthy of respect, um and glory and gifts and nurturing, and fighting for and enjoying situations with. um I think that that lesson is 100% worthy of going through pain to get to, if need be. And you wouldn't be going through this pain unless you needed to understand this lesson. So, like, be kind with yourself. And when you're ready to embrace that message, I encourage you to rewatch this video later if, like, it doesn't resonate with you now. Maybe after you do some of this work. So, I'll say it one more time. Like, you you loving yourself and understanding you are worthy of love and gratitude and grace and patience, being somewhere safe, having all the abundance in the world, having people take care of you and nurture you and love you, and all of that, like coming from yourself as well. Like, you deserve all of that. And that, like, is so important. And you are, like, you understanding you're worthy of love is worth the pain. It's worth it. You're worth it. And for whatever reason, you had to go through some pain to learn that message, but like, you are so worth it. So, like, this is one of your calls, your very direct calls to grow from your situation and never look back. And I have a feeling that's what all of these tarot cards on the table are going to say. Yeah, the Tower card. See this? Tower card. You're gonna tear everything down. You're gonna start from the beginning because you're gonna build your legacy on love for yourself, respect for yourself, understanding you deserve abundance, safety, grace, gratitude, patience, nurturing experiences, fun, uplifting situations with uplifting people. You're going to build a tower and your legacy based on that. And to do that, you have to tear down the situation you're in now, where you're have this idea of yourself built up on the fact that like you're not worth all of that in some way or another. So for the rest of your cards here, we have six more to go through and then we're done. Um I want to talk about the Queen of Pentacles that's under the Fool and the Three of Cups. Now the Queen of Pentacles is sideways, and we're kind of seeing like a parallel here. But when I first looked at the Queen of Pentacles, I some of you guys are just in your swearing like filthy language era. Um but I heard like cock block when I looked at the Queen of Pentacles. And I don't think this is the classic of that like phrase. I think this is more just your like denying yourself stuff And this is going to be different for all of you. I think this message is a little specific given your physical situations, but the Queen of Pentacles is giving off more of like the shadow energy with her being sideways. And the the energy that I'm mostly picking up on is you being fooled into accepting things that you don't really want and that you especially don't need. And I know the Pentacles talks about it's the suit of like the physical world, but I'm getting a real energy of you know, what we've kind of been saying before, where all of these untruths and lies and like degrading insults that have been like said to you very harshly and repeatedly have taken hold, and it's kind of had you like tricked into like accepting and internalizing and perpetuating things that aren't real. But the other thing I'm seeing that actually does apply to the suit itself, that being the physical world, is that I see you as being somebody, and we saw it in a couple of your other cards too, of being somebody who's like very okay with loving others and spreading love to others. And that's kind of why we talked about how um like you're able to heighten or enrich the lives of like other people and their energies in passing, and like you kind of leave things better than they were before, and that's because you're just a very like nurturing, loving, uplifting person that cares a lot about other people. And I think it's just this is another call to like extend that to yourself, because this is you recognizing that like you have the ability to be loving and nurturing, and there's no reason that that doesn't also apply to yourself. And so with the Queen of Pentacles, I think also, and this is the part where it gets really specific, is that some of you feel invested in the situation due to some physical logistics, we'll call it. So some of you might have that investment bias going on where you're like, I put so much time, I put so much energy into getting this place to live, or trying to fix up the place that I'm at, or actually moving all the way out here, or working really hard to get to the position where I'm at in my job, or putting a lot of effort into trying to make a romantic relationship work that's been going on for a really long time but like is no longer good for you, or like trying to make any relationship work for a long time that isn't good for you. I feel like there's an investment bias here of like it'll feel like a really big loss if you leave because of how much like time, effort, and or money you've invested into this stuff. And so it's like if I am in a position where I can safely pull away, not only am I taking like an emotional loss, but now I'm taking physical losses on as well. And it's like you're kind of being called to understand that it doesn't matter how much you invest into something. If that investment turns out to be crap, the last thing you do is double or triple or quadruple down. Like you don't perpetuate it, you say no and you get out. Like if you invest in a stock and the stock price starts going down, you don't say, oh, well, it went down a little bit. It'll feel like a loss if I take it out. I'll just watch it tank all the way down to basically like zero value. It's like, no, you take it out when you only lost $10, not like 200 or 2000. Um, and so the interesting thing about energies is that when you're in a healthy position, like when we talked about with the bliss state, that resource to you, that energy of attracting like love, gratitude, nurturing energies, people who are good for you, money. For some of you, I'm hearing fame, if that's something you're interested in. That was pretty specific too. But those energies are renewable because they're coming from within to nurture yourself. And when you nurture yourself, those energies come back like tenfold, and then you can give them away to other people. And so you taking a loss now is actually a step in the right direction to have way more of that energy later when you just get it from yourself at like wild amounts of abundance you can't imagine. So if some of you are worried about, oh, but like I already put so much into this, just know that like it's not worth putting more into this. And if you're getting this message, like at some level of yourself, if this resonates with you, like you know that. So it's just an added layer of some kind of like denial or self delusion almost that like you're gonna get over and move past and be happy you did it. You'll be grateful you did it later if that applies to you. So I'm just gonna go from left to right in like your little almost chronological reading order. And I want to talk about the Fool and the Three of Cups really quickly here. So the Fool is reversed, which means the classic meaning of like you're on a brand new journey and it's gonna be great. Isn't necessarily the vibe that I'm getting here. One of the things I'm getting here is that there's an energy surrounding you of like manipulation of others for a false sense of power or personal entertainment. And I really feel like that's not you doing it to other people. I feel like that's what other people are doing to you right now. And we've seen that a lot. So it's just like an added confirmation. Um, and I think it's always like really cool how many synchronicities there are in a reading because the more you have, the more powerful the message. So I wanted to point that out. But the Fool in reverse also symbolizes an energy of avoiding reality because you'd rather not face the truth. And I think that's just because, like, it's really painful for you to understand that, like, for some of you, that everyone has been mistreating you and you deserve better. That can be really painful. And maybe it's easier to perpetuate and internalize these self deprecating thoughts and say everyone else is being truthful than say everyone else has actually been the worst thing for me for a really long time. Like in a way that can actually be more painful because now everyone else really is hurting your feelings. Whereas if they were true, like the truth hurts, but at least they're honest and they like aren't being mean to me for no sake other than they're really nasty individuals. And it's like even though it might be more painful for you to just admit that everyone around you or all these people that have been mistreating you around you are actually really nasty individuals, understanding that and moving forward will mean a lot less pain for you long term and you'll feel a lot better. If you want to get to that like bliss card over there, that's kind of where you want to be heading to. But the other thing I get with this Fool card, and I love this message because it's said in such a cute way, is this cute little message of you're not starting a new journey. This is a journey you've been on for a minute and like I just hear some of your spirit guides going like you got this boo. You already started the journey. And it's so cute, okay? And we haven't had a lot of cute energy in this reading because we've gotten so much information about like how mean everyone else has been to you and like how you've been kind of beating up yourself a little bit. So this energy of like you got this boo. It's just a nice juxtaposition. But with the Fool in reverse, I am getting that like at this point, if you've lasted this long in the reading because it resonated, like you know what to do to get out of this. You love yourself and you work on accepting that and that you deserve love and all this and it's going to take time and some of you it may take longer than others but it's not a race, okay? No one cares how long it takes you, it just matters that it matters to you. But with the Fool, it's like this isn't a new journey you're starting. Like you've been on this journey. And that's why for some of you, you feel like, oh, this keeps happening to me. The same kind of people keep coming into my life. That's because this is a journey you've been on for a while. And instead of progressing to the next step, you repeat your current step because you didn't like learn this lesson that is worth going through the pain of learning because you are worth understanding that you deserve love. Like you are worthy of love and feeling valuable and valid. And so this lesson is freaking worth it. And there's nothing to feel bad about this lesson. So the 3 of Cups, let's move on to the 3 of Cups really quickly here. And it is sitting with the Fool. It's actually sitting underneath the Fool. So they're gonna like play off each other in terms of their meanings here. But with the Three of Cups, I want to talk about how, if we're talking about some of the shadow energies associated with it, and I know it's not upside down, but like bear with me here because I think the shadow energies on this card are important since it's sitting over this card symbolizing some of the darker parts of yourself. And it talks about for some of you the energy of feeling the need to be part of the group, even if that means you're the punching bag of the group, the butt of every joke. Um, like for you, maybe there's a real fear of loneliness, and maybe that's part of why you haven't like rejected all these people that are being incredibly hurtful towards you, is because for you it's more painful to be alone or feel like you're alone and you're not going to find anybody else than it would be to actually like reject them. And for those of you that feel that way, there's a strong message coming through of it's temporary loneliness and you feel alone right now because like how is anybody supposed to understand you and nurture you and be good for you and love you when all they do is attack you and tear you down. Like that in itself is lonely. And I would bet that you are going to look back on this after you do this work and understand that you were more alone than you had ever been near people that were bad for you than you are in the future when you're around people that are good for you. And you're just by yourself, because when you're by yourself, like yeah, you might feel a little lonely, but you're going to feel more alone if the people around you are complete jerks. um and so there's this call to understand that part of learning this lesson meant you had to be alone, you had to feel alone, because if there were other people around you that were nurturing you, you wouldn't feel called to find this love for yourself from yourself, because you'd be getting that requirement and affirmation from other people. There'd be no reason to look within because you don't feel like you're lacking anything. It's like you had to be lonely to lack this thing so that you could understand getting it from yourself is the most valuable way to get it, and then you will find it in other people later after you learn this lesson. So I want to talk about the judgment card. And the judgment card is, I think, a card that yourself put in here as a little quip towards all of these people that you are not happy with good reason. Okay, you're justified in not being happy with them, it's fine. um but with the judgment card here, I think a lot of it is more in the literal sense of judgment, where it's talking about as you transform and you transcend this situation, like you actually embrace these changes we've been talking about to achieve a state of bliss. Once you move on, these people that were here to very cruelly and painfully give you the opportunities to learn this lesson, they're no longer needed in your life to learn this lesson. So a couple things are going to happen. They're going to fall away and be as irrelevant as you choose for them to be in your life once you reach this state. But also, like, they're going to get essentially like spanked really hard for being that nasty of an individual. So if you thought your lesson was hard, like they're gonna get it exponentially, like to the nth degree worse than you. And I know that like for a tarot card reader is talking about like enlightenment and coming from a place of love always and all that, like that's kind of a like a weird thing to say, but your higher self understands that this is a message of closure for you, Because for a lot of you, when you choose to like not include them in your life, or when they just randomly start like falling away and becoming less relevant, you won't actually see them receiving the repercussions for all of like the nastiness that they put out in the world, especially directed at you, because even though it might feel like it's just directed towards you, I promise they're being terrible in other aspects of their life to other things as well. And the judgment card here is kind of talking about like karmically balancing the scales, um in like the westernized version of karma, where it's like if something bad happens to you, it's gonna bite you in the ass. And that is the very westernized version of karma. But like that's the easiest way to unpack this, is like your higher self is starting to give you closure to help you move through this, because they understand that hearing that closure may be really healing for you, and this might be one of the only instances, like opportunities or resources, where you're going to hear this. And as I'm talking about this, I just got really dizzy, like kind of lightheaded and like vertigo, and it felt like I was going to fall on the desk. And I think that's emphasis as to how all these other people, like they're just going to start dropping like flies with how hard um, their lessons and repercussions are going to hit them. And part of the reason why you're not going to be around to see it is because when you're in a state of bliss and you've outgrown all of this, you're not going to have that need to be vindictive. And part of forgiving is like forgiving people is something we do for ourselves. It's a really complex emotion, so like an action. So a lot of times it's taught to us wrong, and people extrapolate very selfishly that like you forgive others, and it's like even though you're applying forgiveness to a situation that can involve other people, like you're doing it for yourself, and it's an act of letting go so that the past no longer like weighs you down or makes you act in ways that aren't in line with yourself, whether that be like toxic coping mechanisms or being like overly suspicious of other people when it's unnecessary, um, or like unfairly applying expectations to other people who like haven't done things, but you suspect that they would because you've seen the pattern before and you haven't healed from something, something like that. But forgiveness is when you actually forgive, you're just gonna let go, and you're not gonna like hate these people anymore if they're not in your lives. Um, and you're just gonna like not really think about them anymore. And at that point, when you don't have that need to see them be vindicated, or yourself like vindicated in them getting punished, I should say, like you're not gonna actually see a lot of them get whopped. And now, this being a general reading, like some of you guys will see them, like they're great momentous falls, like them crashing and burning and getting like served, because they have their own lessons to learn. And they're gonna do that in a painful way as well. But for those of you that like that's healing to hear right now as you're moving through like the painful stuff in your life, there's nothing wrong with you hearing that right now. Um, just understand that a lot of them, these people that are terrible to you, it won't apply in the ways that you think karma does, where it won't be like instant karma. It might take like years or maybe even decades for everything to come crashing down on them, like them to have a painful tower moment. But it'll happen eventually, and that's closure enough. You don't need to like get involved in that, because it won't help you grow and get to this bliss stage. It'll muddy the waters and make it harder for you to learn the lessons you need to. So let the universe do what it does best, and you work on yourself, and you'll get out of this situation, and they'll get whopped later. And so, like, for you, the biggest way to like get these people like their painful moments, tower moments, and like lesson learnings is to grow yourself to a point where you outgrow all of this and get to your bliss state, and they're not needed for you to learn that lesson, because that's one of the things that's going to trigger them to go into that next cycle where now they're learning the painful lessons. because of what they did to you. But if you don't move past all this, then like they're still technically needed for you to learn the lesson. You see what I'm I hope that makes sense. Again, general reading, take what resonates. Okay, so for the 7 of Swords, we'll move on here. And under the 7 of Swords, I do want to point out real quick. Under the 7 of Swords is the Temperance card. Okay, so we have 2 cards left, and then we are done. Whoop whoop. So for the 7 of Swords, what we have is a card that talks a lot about deceit, but it goes a little bit deeper than deceit. So, and usually the deceit is between like external sources and internal, so like other people and you, like it's between multiple parties usually. Um, but there's also this like that goes along with the deceitful energy of evasion. So a lot of this is like you're standing in the energy, like wielding the energy of dodging, like evading what seeks to attack you and tear you down. And so a lot of this is talking about when you do this work and you start to embody and like actually subscribe to and believe that you're worthy of love and you're valuable and no one can take that away from you. Like it doesn't matter what they say, they're just wrong. You'll get in this energy of you start evading more people like that, you start evading extra situations like that, you start dodging these people that were like detrimental to you to begin with, like they just start falling out of your life and you find situations where you can get away from them more and more often or permanently if that's what you would desire. So the 7 of Swords here is a really exciting card for you of it's telling you the inner work you do will pay off. You won't be subject to this forever. And that's what the Bliss card said as well. So the last card I want to talk about in compound with the 7 of Swords is Temperance. So essentially that's what you're doing is you're being put under intense pressures and heat to come out of the forge more refined and stronger and in the way that like you strive to be and you're going to be proud of yourself for being. So the Temperance card is talking about how like this has been like a rough lesson and like a hard learned lesson, but it's a really really powerful lesson and it's something that like no one can take away from you because it's something that came from within. And it's a complex change where once it's finished, like you'll never see life the same. No one's going to be able to see you the same because everyone can pick up on energies subconsciously and the universe will bring different situations and people to you. But a really nice thing about the Temperance card is it can symbolize energetic masteries as well as like honing skills. And I think that's most of what you're gonna be doing over here towards the end of your journey is you're gonna be understanding that you can wield energies masterfully, mostly that of your own. Like you're going to be more in tune with like your emotions and understanding where you are, like following your intuition and all that. And that's going to make you like really really good at manipulating energies to get what you want from this point on in your life. So it'll be easier for you to like manifest and actually attract what you desire. It'll be easier for you to like emotionally deal with different situations, stressful or not, moving forward. You'll be more in tune with understanding the true intentions of other people around you so you don't like get sucked back into something like this. Um, and there's the Temperance card. I don't think it's talked about very often from what I've seen, but it can also symbolize unique and successful combinations of different things. And I think for you, part of what you're going to be realizing here is that you see the most success in your lifetime and with yourself when you understand that you can receive love from within and without, um, or within and from the outside in. And so you're going to understand that the hierarchy of how love is valued for you is receiving it from yourself is first always, and receiving it from other people is second to that. And maybe sometimes it feels more exciting and better when you receive it from somebody else, like if it's a new romantic interest or whatever. But it's never going to be something you need from somebody else. It's just going to be really nice to have, like a complimentary thing. And so I think that this is going to be like a really good phase in your life moving forward. And your higher self and your spirit guides hope that these last few cards over here that we talked about are going to be pieces of encouragement that you can look back on and remember when you need them as you're doing this really tough work and you're in a really painful situation right now. So, that is all I have for you. And I want to thank you for listening. I want to send you a virtual hug one more time because this situation is really rough. And those of you who resonate with this pile, some of you are going to be in much more darker situations than I probably let on here. But your higher self understands, your spirit guides understand, more or less, I understand. And we all believe in you and we're wishing you the best. And things will be as okay as you choose for them to be, which you can show with the inner work that you're doing. And I hope that this was more or less encouraging or at least validating to hear someone else tell you that they understand their situation and they know that it can be like really painful and sometimes it doesn't feel worth it. So, I will see you next time in a brand new reading. Welcome, my dear pile number 3. So, if you selected your pile with the classic tarot, the back that looks like that, or your significator card here with land, tree, star as the characteristics, then this is your pile. You could have also picked with the little bear crystal carving over here from Alaska. So, I figured what we'll do is we'll look at all your significator cards first, and then we'll use the tarot to get like extra information, details, or like clarifications afterwards. So, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the tarot cards aside. We'll just put them over here for now. They'll be okay. So, first things first is your, I know I already showed it, is your land tree star card. And one thing I want to point out is that the tree is like growing out of what looks like a mountain. And I have a feeling that that's something significant. Like perhaps it's about growth related to you growing from an impressive position already, like a high height to reach higher heights. We'll see what this actually is. I'm just putting some stuff out there while I feel it. But you have so many significator cards, we'll get a more clear image as we move on here. So your next card is Justice. And even though these are tarot cards, I'm using them as significator cards for like overall messages and energy here. We also have, put that the right way so you can see it for a second. So we have the Knight of Cups, but he was in reverse, so we're gonna leave it like that. We'll put it over here. All right. Moving onward. We have Weave. Next, we have Echo. I'm kind of interested in the number 13 on it. So we'll think about that. 13, huh? All right. Your next card says, I choose love no matter what. Really beautiful message. There's kind of this like beige tone going on over here right now. So next, let's see if we can get that to focus for you. When I lean on the faith of the universe, peace becomes real. Another beautiful message. We'll put that under the Knight of Cups, I think. I kind of like it over here too, though. Yeah. All right, we'll keep that in mind. And then your next significator card is New World. And your last card is Universe, which we'll put here. That's not bad. It all fits. You can see it, except for maybe these two. But that's okay. Your energy is a little bit enigmatic. I feel like you're good at wearing a mask. It feels kind of like you're in an excellent position and there's all this really cool stuff happening around you. And at the same time, like your eyes are just kind of glazed over. Um, Almost like you're jaded. I don't want to say jaded, but it's like tired isn't the right word either. You're just unenthused almost. Or maybe you're just like really calm. Hmm. Because it's like you have these bright colors, these like vibrant, lush spaces, like this open, wide, like mystical expanse. And the only colors that stand out to me are all of these like beige tones. And there's nothing wrong with beige. It's just like the most muted, unstimulating color that's out there. And I think that that kind of shows how you're reacting to the situation you're in right now. I feel like this group is a very mixed group of individuals. So I'm going to do my best to acknowledge all of you that are here with like relevant messages, but take what resonates and leave the rest. I feel like for some of you, you feel like you're kind of an echo of your former like brighter self. Um and it's like it's not that you're not successful or anyone's picking on you, but there's kind of this undertone of like deep sadness or like lack of enrichment on a soul level. And it kind of feels like maybe you're really successful, maybe like on a materialistic level you have what you need and like everything is like good enough or maybe even better. This is giving the energy of like you're so poor that the only thing you have is money. Where on a material level, there's nothing that you're desiring that you don't have, but you still don't feel complete, and you're not really sure where to approach that feeling, to the point where like you're not even sure the feeling is real, is what I'm hearing. I think there's another group of you who you're rising to like stardom or greatness in some way. Maybe you're getting like promoted quickly, you're becoming famous, or your fame is developing further. Maybe you're like inheriting your family's business, so you're inheriting like a CEO position. Something big like that a lot of people would be very envious of, or very proud of you for, and think like, wow, with a career or a position or a lifestyle like that, like how could you not be happy? But that's sort of like a very ignorant claim to make, since they don't know you or the rest of what's going on. But it feels like you were, I'm hearing like pushed into a position of power. And I think position of power is more loosely associated with like a position requiring lots of like time and dedication in a way that didn't allow you certain freedoms that a lot of other people had. And when I looked at the Knight of Cups here, I got like recklessly charged. And I think that you wouldn't consider what you want to do reckless, but it now feels reckless to act certain ways given the amount of responsibilities or eyes on you. And so it's like you're restraining yourself to be responsible because those are the expectations placed on you, and now you're not really sure what you would do if like you failed. So you're just, someone put the reins on you, and now you're just like allowing those reins to kind of steer you. So like if you were put into a CEO position at a very young age and you were allotted like a lot of success early on, for example, here, let's say, there are certain responsibilities placed upon you to not tarnish like your record or your reputation because now it's tied to the business in some way. And you feel like you can't act certain ways that you want to or associate with certain people that you would like to. And maybe it got you down before, but it's like you've kind of accepted that this is where your like success and physical stability comes from. So you don't want to change this. I also got an example of like if you're the child of like a famous businessman, like if you're the child of a very successful lawyer, what you do could be like a negative repercussion to like your parent that is like a really successful lawyer or something. Like people might not want to hire your parent as their lawyer if like their kid is acting out and like getting in trouble or associating with like certain people. And so there was like an over policing or like sheltering of you because your parents were worried you would like damage their reputation by like going to a party and getting too drunk and someone would see you or something like that. And it's not necessarily that you would do those things and be what they were worried about you being or acting in a way they were worried about, but because they were worried about it, they kept you from exercising freedoms in ways that were like adjacent to or that they were worried would lead to less than desirable actions by you. So in some way it feels like you've been like tethered and you're not really like fighting back. You're very like vanilla, very beige about it. Um, like if you could, I'm hearing if you could describe your life as a spice, you would pick flour. Like it's just it's I feel like you've removed yourself or like your heart in a way to where you're just like you're so neutral that you're not even like relaxed or zen. You're just like vacant. And it's not the worst thing in the world, I'm hearing, because like you're not stressed, and you're not struggling, and you're in a position where you've been told many times like you should be grateful for what you have, so you don't really have like the room to complain. Like being unhappy with your life is like out of touch and ungrateful. So you've been sort of like I'm hearing like preemptively silenced, where maybe you weren't outwardly actually like voicing your complaints, but you were like shut down early as soon as there were signs of you not being really happy about whatever this is. I feel like for those of you who are in parts of the world or like certain weird, I shouldn't say weird, it's weird to Americans, but like situations where more or less an arranged marriage happened, where like it was just pushed on you and you were expected to do it, so you did. Um, this is one of those instances where it's like you're married to this person and like they're nice to you and you guys are like set very well for your life, or at least you have everything that you like more or less want or need. But it's like where's the passion? And it's like there isn't one because like more or less they're just weirdly like a business acquaintance you share like a house with and sleep next to. But like that's kind of the big question I'm getting here is I'm having an issue of seeing like a spark or a flame or a passion. Like you have all these excellent like possibilities. You're like set up in a way to where you can explore any and every new avenue and world that you want, but like it doesn't mean anything because you don't get to do it the way that you want to. Oh, that just hit me really hard. I feel like I'm gonna cry. Like that's so sad. And it feels like your emotions are negated and you got robbed of like a lifetime or however much of a lifetime that you've been like this because like every time you've been in a situation where you feel frustrated enough or comfortable with somebody enough to like voice that you're not happy, you just get met with immediate like diminishings or devaluings of your feelings because it's like you should be happy with what you have everything, and you should be grateful for what you have because you have everything. Like maybe your friends were like, I wish I had your life, like don't complain to me about it, and like whoever pushed you in this position is obviously not gonna like hear your concerns well, and it's like I feel like a lot of people that you've tried to confide in or that you could have confided in have either told you or preemptively told you more or less that like you not being happy with the situation is kind of akin to like you just being an ungrateful spoiled little dolt, and that's not true for one, and that's very sad, and that's out of touch from their point of view. That's like anti-empathic. I hear it as coming from two things: a place of trying to enforce power or a place of envy and ego. Not love, that's for sure. So the people that like expect you to be in this position because they have something to gain from you being in it, those are the people who are telling you you should be grateful and shutting down everything else and shaming you for other feelings of unsatisfaction or dissatisfaction because they want you to stay in whatever position you're in. And for the others, they're coming from a place of like envy and ego. They're not really appreciating you for who you are. They actually, like, a lot of them don't even see you for who you are as like a person with wants and needs that doesn't have to want what you have, like what you have maybe doesn't fulfill you completely or at all. And like that's okay. And I think it's really sad that um these people that like you trusted or thought or you thought like saw you as the person that you are just hit you with like I'm jealous I don't have what you have physically, so I don't want to hear about anything that you're going through. And that's their problem because they're basically saying like you have something I want so I don't like you. And I don't care to understand you or show you like respect and empathy and compassion the way that you deserve. And that's purely because they're being unkind because they're like up their own ass about their own egos and like that's their problem. But like it doesn't help when somebody tells you that because it can be really invalidating, especially if it feels like you don't have a lot of people to talk to confide in, or everybody that you try to confide in kind of slaps you in the face with a similar response. And I see you as being like a very patient, like very gentle, like easygoing person. You kind of feel like I don't know if this will make sense to a lot of you. Like giant teddy bear would be the best way to put it, but I kind of see you as being like a big buffalo. Um Let me see if I can find the card actually. Here. This card. Let me look at him. Or her. Look at them. Look how cute they are. They're all like big and fluffy and sweet. Like there's lightning in the background and they're just chilling. Like they're not flinching, they're not scared. And the buffalo card is a lot about the symbolization of like earth meeting the heavens, like um ethereal energies and higher selves and like spirit guides in the universe kind of meeting the energy of the physical. So they're kind of a master of like bringing grounded energy up into like the higher vibrational aspects of yourself. It's a big connection between the physical world and your spiritual self. But more of why I was reminded of this buffalo card is because like buffaloes are just I mean, I'm not going to say they're always sweet, but they're just these big guys that like walk around and do their thing. They come up to stuff like very calmly and like if they recognize you, if they know you, because there are people that ranch buffalo, like they'll just kind of like hang out with you. They'll just be around you and like nuzzle things and like nudge stuff. And like they're huge, so their nudges don't feel like nudges. Um but they're just like I get the energy that you're just really sweet and like wholesome is another word that I'm getting. And a lot of why you did what you did is because you came from a place of love. Like I choose love no matter what. Like you are just this big sweet powerful thing. That's the other thing about why I thought of the buffalo card is because like you are really powerful, but you never exercise that power in a way that to your knowledge would damage somebody else. And you use your power like this master energy of like relating like the physical, the grounded energy to your higher self. Like that is a big mastery of power. Like you have that within you. But like you never use your strength or power to like selfishly serve, I feel like is the other thing I'm hearing. So you don't use it at your knowledge the detriment of other people or to be selfish. And I think that a big lesson for you here could be that maybe you should start acting in ways that are self-serving. Like there's a way to do that without being selfish. And I was kind of confused by your pile for a minute, I'm not going to lie. Uh because there was something that felt very like defunct like just really out of place with the Knight of Cups being in reverse. Because the Knight of Cups in reverse symbolizes self indulgence. And a lot of people will see that as being selfish, but you're here because you're you. And the number one responsibility you have in your lifetime is taking care of yourself. Like if you're not taking care of yourself, then you can't healthily take care of anyone else. And like obviously there's exceptions to that, right? Like if you have responsibilities to take care of other people, like you're somebody's caretaker or like you have children, sometimes at the detriment to yourself, there are responsibilities you have to um uphold in order to not damage like another living being. And so like exercise this with discretion, but with the Knight of Cups here in reverse, I see that at this next phase in your life, like even though you're very successful and in a place of power, there's some kind of physical level up happening where you get something new or something more. Like, so for some of you, I'm hearing extra. Maybe you're getting more time. Maybe people are keeping tabs on you less, so you have a little more freedom. And that could be like what the new world and the universe are talking about. The universe talks a lot about transmutations of energies. So this could be like a shift in your mental state and what you want. This could be a shift in like your responsibilities or job opportunities or like maybe where you're living with the new world here. This could be a lot of different things for a lot of different people, all of yous out there, uh, because this is the general reading. But like something's happening that's changing your world in like a significantly better way, whatever that feels like to you. And I think you're gonna start to like dip your toe into the waters of like self-care and self-indulgence. And I say self-care because if you're not feeling satisfied with what you do with like your freedoms, so like your free time, your resources, then part of balancing yourself out, making this life worth living for you, like nourishing yourself and like your heart, part of that self-care is actually doing what you want to do, whatever that is. And for some reason I'm hearing for some of you like watercolor classes, which like yeah, sure, if that's what you want to do, like that's a great place to start. I don't see anything wrong with that. But if there are those of you out there who like have a hobby that would make you feel better, like more free because you're doing something that you're wanting to try out, that you're curious about, that you're passionate about. And like this is something that's like it's just for you. Like it's not for anybody else. It doesn't give you any kind of like material or financial gain. It's not another business venture, it's not another marketing ploy, it's not another like publicity or public relations or like garnering fame or clout stunt. Like it's just for you. And if you need to keep it quiet so that you can enjoy it and that no one else like ruins it, then like sure, do that. Cause it's like maybe some of you are in a position where like something as innocent as like watercolor classes somehow translates into other people would put pressure on you to not do that because every minute you spend painting could be a minute spent on endeavors that actually like give you money. Like if you're a songwriter and you have like a producer or a label, maybe the producer label is like you should have been in the studio for like the like 60th hour this week or whatever it is. How dare you be painting? Which sounds a little silly, and like yeah, it is a little silly because people get so distracted with their own manufactured timelines that like they just make shit that shouldn't matter somehow stress everyone else out. And I think that it's kind of garbage. And with the amount of like power and influence that you do have. I think the buffalo card, hello, I'm still holding it. I think the buffalo card is really cool because the Lantry Star card is kind of talking about the same thing. Like you have very grounded energy and you have very spiritual energy, and there's like a bridge between them, which is like you kind of the tree. And like the buffalo does the same thing. Like the lightning in the background is supposed to be like the spiritual, and the buffalo is a master of like that grounded energy, and it can like channel both of them to become like a healthier, more balanced being. So I think it's kind of funny you got there's like two of those here. Um and I think that like perhaps part of you doesn't recognize that like if you make time for yourself, you prioritize stuff for you over other people and other like manufactured made up timelines, like with the amount of power and like financial and material stability you're in, if you like bother somebody, like I'm hearing piss somebody off because you say I don't care about your timeline, I'll get it done when I get it done and you'll be happy about it because it's going to make you a lot of money, um or like give you a lot of success so you can just frickin' wait. Um, I feel like for some of you, you've wanted to say that for a really long time. And maybe it's time. Like, maybe the energy that I'm seeing here is like you actually saying, like, it's time. I think that's what this Knight of Cups in reverse is talking about. And I think this Justice card has some new added meaning as well. Of like, you're kind of being the arbiter of justice for yourself. Like you're gonna balance your own scales because you're powerful enough to do that. Like you don't need no one else's help. um, and that's such a cool, empowering position to be in. So I'm really excited for you. I feel like these echoes in your mind of like things you've wanted to do, um you'll actually be able to fulfill, and you'll start to see like the wonder in the world again. I think you'll start to see some of the color come back. Not that you were ever colorblind, but color will just hit differently than it has for a long time. And I think anyone who may have struggled with depression in the past will be able to relate to this, but like one of the signs of being like chronically depressed is you still see all the colors in the world with the same levels of vibrancy, but when you look at it, like they don't feel impressive anymore. Like they're not impactful. You see them, but like they don't feel amazing or beautiful or awe-inspiring. It's just like there and you kind of move past it. Like you'll scan the room like you're scanning a textbook you don't really want to read, but your teacher said you should, and you just kind of go like, "Oh, okay." You know. But then when you start feeling better, you can look at the same thing and it'll actually like look beautiful again, and it'll like be aesthetically pleasing and something that you can be appreciative of, whereas before it's just like you weren't on a wavelength or a mental state to be able to do that, to see that, to appreciate that. So I feel like there's a lot of like magic coming back into your life. And I will say with the weave card, usually spiders and webs symbolize the ability of whoever they're relating to weave their own destiny and like their own path. Spiders are known for like working tirelessly and intuitively understanding what to work on to bring what they want to them. Like no one really teaches a spider how to create its own web. They just do. And like every species of spider out there will construct their webs with a different technique. And that's one of the ways that we like define different species of spiders besides the way that they look. And so there's this allusion to you being like capable, which we already knew, but capable in a different way, where I'm getting that you're able to bridge the gap between like what past you wanted, what present you want and is able to go do, and this new like level up you're getting. So you're going to be able to like do everything that you want. I'm kind of hearing like have your cake and eat it too, where you get to have the nice new fun shiny thing or opportunity whatever it is. And you also get to do what you want in your free time, whatever that looks like. And it's gonna like fulfill you on a level that you haven't felt fulfillment from for a while. And I think that like part of that is because you're very like at peace with yourself and what's going on. Like you're really calm. You're just a little dissatisfied or a lot. Like you're calm, and from that clarity of the calmness, you understand that you're not feeling fulfilled and you're lacking. And I think you're in an energy with this like new moon, or if you're watching this whenever for the next couple weeks of your life, where you're going to start recognizing like you have enough power you can assert to advocate for yourself and go do what you want. And it doesn't matter if other people call it selfish. They're just coming from a place of ignorance, jealousy, or wanting to exert power over you so that they can get what they want from you doing whatever work they want you to do or achieve whatever responsibilities or like time suck efforts I'm hearing that they want you to do. So anyone coming from love would actually understand that like this is a good choice and they would encourage you. So, you loving yourself can do that. And you'll find other people that are happy for you. Um even though for some of you you don't feel like you have that right now, like you will in the future. So, I have your tarot cards here. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not 100% sure what to ask about, but we'll get some details. I'll leave it open ended and maybe we'll get some more clarity on, like, specifically what may be going on that, like, sparked you to feel comfortable um, with showing up for yourself. Because it's like, it takes a long time for you to feel kind of like jaded or detached and like experiencing a lack of passion for a long enough time like this to get this kind of energy. So maybe we can ask like what changed that sparked you to want to like show up for yourself again. Maybe that'll help you know like when it's time for you. So we have the King of Cups as well as the Chariot. It's on my thumb. And the Three of Swords. I think it's kind of funny that you chose the classic tarot pile too, or more that the classic tarot pile was like chosen to go with pile 3 because a lot of its art has like muted colors and beige things as well. Let's see. Do you want to give us any other cards? Or are we good? Okay. I kind of feel like you're like waking up now. Like before you kind of like lulled yourself to sleep with the mundane actions of a life that required you to answer to responsibilities that like benefited you financially and physically, but like not on a spiritual or emotional level. So to deal with that, you just kind of bided your time and like lulled yourself to sleep. And I feel like now, like on a spiritual level, on an emotional level, you're recognizing like, oh, I don't need to be asleep anymore. Like I'm finally at a point where I can take the success that I cultivated and go do what I want and like still feel secure and abundant in the physical world. So I guess part of you like made a strategic move to wait this long, and you kind of like got that trigger of like, hey, everything's in place now. Um I'm secure now, so like let's go wake up and do what we want with that security. So it's kind of like you waited a long time for this, like you planned for it. Um but let's get more from this. So I have the what I'm holding here is I'm holding the Knight of Cups, which I think is really funny because it's upright, it's not in reverse now. I have the you can't see that. I have the Queen of, and then I have the World card. We have the Knight of Cups. When the Knight of Cups is upright, they're talking a lot about a relentless pursuit, like almost on a reckless scale of standing up for what you feel is right from an emotional or intuitive sense. More emotional than intuition, honestly, but for you I feel like there's probably some intuition mixed in there. With like intuitively you understand standing up for your emotions is healthy for you right now. But there's this like almost reckless, unyielding, constantly moving forward and punching through obstacles pursuit of standing up for your emotions and what feels right, and that outweighs, it tramples over logic and ego. And I feel like that's the logic and ego others have successfully deployed on you in the past to keep you complacent to like get what they want, in some way or another. So you're kind of waking up and you're like, I'm gonna go like do what's good for me, what feeds my emotions and nurtures me, like nobody else. If somebody else benefits from it, cool. Like if you're gonna go hang out with friends and you're all having a good time, like that's great, but you're ultimately doing it to nourish yourself, which is really important because like you haven't been for a minute here. So with the world card, a world card talks I think it's funny you have the world card and new world and universe, but there's definitely like something big happening here. And I'm not sure, like maybe for some of you, you pursuing your, oh, I get it. Okay, so like something big is happening for you that's like gonna give you the freedom and or space or courage that like you need to go do what you want to do. But in doing so, you're also gonna discover like a very like enticing, like very seductive, like brand new world where it's like every part of it like draws you in. Like you're just gonna be interested and passionate, excited, driven. Some of you might find like a new obsession, but it'll be like a healthy obsession. It'll be like that passion that you stay up late enjoying. Like kind of like I'm getting the energy of when you find a new book you really like, so you stay up all night reading it and then you're tired the next day. Like that level of obsession where like it's pretty innocent, like you're not doing anything weird or stalking somebody. Um and then with the Queen of Cups, there's like a a real masterful understanding of your emotions, but also other people's. And I feel like for you with this Queen of Cups energy, what you're doing is as you find this exciting new world and you embrace and like feed and nurture yourself, you're going to be really in tune with your emotions, and you're going to understand like very easily how to achieve a newfound healthy good balance moving forward between like your old responsibilities and connections, and like your newfound like passions and loves in life. So for some of you this could be a new romance, like I don't know, but it doesn't always have to be. So that was more explanations into the energy that's going to happen when like you do this Knight of Cups in reverse and you like choose you over more of the mundane to get in like a good healthy balance and take care of yourself. It still doesn't talk about like what may be happening to trigger you to go that way. We'll look at these four cards, your other four cards. So we have the King of Cups. Let me show you. So we have the King of Cups. We have the Chariot. We have the Three of Swords, and then we have the Sun. The Sun. So the Sun is all about um like achievement, um reaching your goals, manifesting your dreams. It's like a very nurturing, sometimes celebratory energy. There's a lot of energy related to creative energy and the creator. So achievements are like kind of almost like a side effect of that. But there's also themes of this energy of like embracing and following your heart's true desire. So this is more energy related to what we've been talking about a little bit here with your other tarot cards and the Knight of Cups in reverse, where um like you are going to definitely choose love, but like love for yourself and your heart, not just like physically taking care of yourself in terms of like being stable, like financially or with a good home or like whatever it is here. So put that there. Okay, Three of Swords. So the heart card is pretty telling in its art here. There's like a conflict between the heart and the head, so the logical mind usually, where there's a wound on the heart in some way. In your case, it would be being kind of like ignored and unfulfilled for so long as you sort of went into like emotional stasis here to get yourself like set up to be secure in the physical world. And now you're in a position where the the heartache or the heartbreak in some way allows like a newfound understanding or purpose to come in. So maybe you reached a breaking point, maybe you tried confiding in someone and it broke your heart and made you sad when they like invalidated you. Um or maybe it was just like time and it was the last straw, like someone did something that like bothered you way more than it has in the past because it's been happening so long. But regardless, like I feel like um something happened or something will happen soon to where you kind of just look at yourself and say like I'm done living a life that's like lacking in passion and doing what I actually want to do. Like you're moving forward and past it because you're done with it. Like you recognize that this isn't how you want to feel long term, even if it like physically set you up and like benefited you. Like there's no need for that anymore. So now you're gonna feel like you should moderate and find like strike a healthier balance. And with the chariot, I feel like when you decide to make this change, you'll find yourself moving and navigating pretty quickly because you set yourself up physically to like logistically be able to turn around and pursue what you want and do what you like pretty quickly. So when you like mentally and emotionally make that decision to go pursue something else, you'll have the means to do it like quite quickly. And I think that's why we've been getting a lot of like the Knight of Cups here too. Like the Knights are all about motion as well. And then the King of Cups, I feel like the King of Cups might be um like the starting domino in all this. It's like the significator of the energy you'll be in when you decide to actually kick all this off and work on doing things that just like fulfill you for you and nobody else. And the King of Cups is like a very so the King of Cups is very like in tune with their emotions, the cups being the suit of emotions. But they're actually like really diplomatic. And they understand how to like strike a good balance even if it's between other people just because of like how emotionally adept they are, so like empathetic they are as well. And they know how to navigate emotional situations with like grace, which is part of what helps make them find like good compromises. So I feel like even though some people may push back on you, you'll handle the situation in a way where it's not going to be like the end of the world. There's not going to be like huge blowouts or fallouts, burned bridges, or negative repercussions. Like you're going to find some way to like get the people that are pressuring you to commit literally your entire life to this thing that isn't fulfilling you right now um to back off and like still be satisfied enough to where they don't give you like constant grief over it. um and part of that might be because you just simply tell them like everything they're doing is going to do nothing but drive you away harder. I mean, take that with a grain of salt, but I feel like some of you out there are going to do that just because you're going to understand like how powerful you are when we talked about like the buffalo and the tree here. And that they kind of need you. So as much as they whine, they'll never push the situation far enough to like actually damage or like threaten you because they can't have that. So I think for a lot of you, like logistically or politically, you have a lot more power than you think you do, and spiritually, you have like a lot more power than you recognize. So the other thing I'm seeing from this is like the King of Cups is like very in tune with like what their heart wants and things, and so a lot of times that manifests as being like a really excellent like artist or dreamer. So I feel like you're one of your hints for if you haven't experienced like this breaking point of like I'm actually going to go do what I want with like the Knight of Cups in reverse here. I feel like for some of you when you start daydreaming about something that you really wanted to go do, or it just keeps coming back into your mind over and over and you can't shake these thoughts of like wow, it'd be really nice if I could go do like X, Y, and Z or hang out with like these people or this and that. Like when you start just getting this like incessant, insatiable, like nagging, revisiting whirlwind of thoughts or dreams about something that you really want to go do or experience or enjoy, I think that that's one of the signs that like you're very much ready to go advocate for yourself. Um because that's like your heart and your intuition kind of telling you like, "Hey, let's change things up. We're ready. Like I'm waking up again. Let's go." I think that that might be a clear sign is when like you start actively getting distracted and mind wandering and dreaming towards these other things that you really want to do for however long you've wanted to do them. And for some of you, maybe you'll like discover something new you've never heard about that like you actually want to go do now. So you're ready to like drop some of the other time sinks that you have, or like dial back on certain responsibilities that you can like dial back on to allocate more time to like this newfound thing. So that's what I have for you. I hope it was helpful in some way, that it was what you needed to hear, and like maybe a little bit validating for those of you who have just been told like you should be grateful. Um, and I believe in you, and I'm proud of you. Like you could burn all your bridges, light your whole world on fire, and I would probably still be proud of you. It's as long as that's what you actually wanted to do. Also, don't self-destruct just because I said I'd still be proud of you, unless you're called to. Like I'm just some stranger on the internet. You probably shouldn't like self-destruct on a stranger's like off comment. So, I hope you're having a great day. You're going to have a great new couple weeks or lunar cycle if you're watching this now. And I will catch you in a brand new reading.